So I'm going into this question anticipating what I think the answer is. But coming up on Sunday night, you have the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's World. And the Dallas Cowboys are going to be without CeeDee Lamb. They're going to be without Tyler Booker, their offensive lineman, and, on that interior of the offensive line. And they're going up against a PO'd Green Bay Packers team because the Packers were on the verge of being 3-0, and then they had a stinker up against the Cleveland Browns. So when you go into this matchup, Micah Parsons going back to Jerry's World up against the Dallas Cowboys. This matchup really shouldn't be Packers and Cowboys. It should really just be Micah Parsons versus Jerry Jones, because that's the way that this is going to be talked about. And Jerry Jones, obviously, well, you could never say never with Jerry Jones because he does some crazy things. But Jerry Jones isn't even going to be on the field in terms of actually playing once the ball gets kicked up into the air. That would be something if an 80-something Jerry Jones, though, does line up at the running back position and tries to run through a Micah Parsons. But I'll ask you guys this question, Stu and Samter. If you had to describe how the Cowboys would get a victory, how can you see a road, how can you see a path for the Dallas Cowboys to actually get a victory on Sunday Night Football and pull off this upset against the Green Bay Packers?
I would say it has to be Dak kind of putting them on his back. It's not going to be a shootout, but he's going to have to make a lot of plays, with his legs. And it'd be something like 24-20, and Jordan Love has a subpar game. I guess kind of like he had against the Brownies this weekend, but I feel like that's the only way I could really see Dallas winning.
Okay, so I think that's a fair answer. It's not where my brain, it wasn't where my mind was going. But a $60 million a year quarterback in Dak Prescott, if you're going to lay it out there, Stu, 24-20 kind of game, you would think a quarterback that's making $60 million a year, it's not out of the realm of possibilities of that happening. But I will acknowledge that wasn't the answer that I was going to give. Samter, let me get your breakdown there, the Samter breakdown on how the Dallas Cowboys could beat the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night.
They can't.
But the exercise here, I acknowledge that I'm not picking them to win. I don't think they can, Samter. But, what are you, like a college football coach now or an NFL? I don't deal in hypotheticals. If the Cowboys were to win the game, how would you lay out the argument for them to do that?
The Packers plane gets delayed and they just don't make it to the game.
Okay.
No. I mean, at the end of the day, CeeDee Lamb probably not playing. Or
he's not playing.
I mean, I guess they just run the ball really well because Micah is going to be going after the quarterback, and they don't have CeeDee Lamb, so they're not going to be able to throw the ball all that effectively. Their defense is a sieve. So the only way really that I can see that they win is if they run the ball, control the time of possession and the clock, keep the Packers offense off the field, and keep Micah Parsons' ability to pass rush in check. And but they can't run the ball that well, so I don't see it happening. But that's the only way I can see it happening. If somehow they just run the ball really well and they control the time possession and they keep the Packers offense off the field.
Now, you would anticipate, Stu, that Jerry Jones is going to have some input in this game. Like, Jerry Jones put up this whole stink when they traded Micah or Michael Parsons, however they're going to call him. Jerry Jones put up this whole stink that they got rid of Micah Parsons because he couldn't defend the run, pretty much, is what they said. And they got Kenny Clark because Kenny Clark can defend the run, and they needed a dominant run stopper, and they needed someone that could stuff the run. Right? That's what Jerry Jones said. So isn't Jerry Jones going to Brian Schottenheimer this week, who Brian Schottenheimer would only be a head coach with the Dallas Cowboys? And isn't he going to tell him, you got to run, and you got to run at Micah Parsons? Wouldn't that be what I would logically assume if the owner is going to interfere with the game plan, that is what Jerry Jones is going to kind of do coming up on Sunday night?
I would think so. And it wouldn't shock me that he does that, and that would be obviously a great player. That is probably his weakness. So, yes, I could totally see Jerry Jones going that way.
All right, here's my answer. This is my answer. It's not what Stu said. It's not what Samter said. It's emotion. That is the only logical explanation that I could have. where I envision a world where CeeDee Lamb out with Booker out, how the Cowboys are going to be able to defeat the Green Bay Packers. And it's going to be emotion. And you kind of saw it, even though it wasn't a victory. But in game one and opening night up against the Philadelphia Eagles, what did everyone say going into that game? Oh, the Eagles are going to slaughter the Cowboys. Oh, the Cowboys, they're a week removed from the Micah Parsons trade. They're going to be caught up in their feelings. They're going to check out on this team. And you saw a team that was PO'd and a team that wanted to prove a point. Now, I think with guys like Trayvon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb, that Micah Parsons was beloved in that locker room with those guys. But with the entirety of the locker room, where there's smoke, there's a fire. And I don't know where it was being pushed, but there was some thought that Micah wasn't actually that loved in that locker room as one would think for arguably their best player on the team would be. You know, you remember towards the end, him and DeMarcus Lawrence got into it. They got into it on Radio Row through a war of words, which was really ugly. So I will say the only way, and this is where you're really reaching, but the only way the Dallas Cowboys, I think, beat the Green Bay Packers is if they could, through the first three quarters, keep it tight based off of emotion. And they may be sick and tired. Everyone says we suck. Everyone says our season's over because we don't have Micah Parsons. And then if you just get the game in the fourth quarter to be tight, to be a one-score game, then maybe the Packers implode like they did last week up against the Cleveland Browns. In all reality, I think this is it's not the perfect storm for the Cowboys, but it is just a storm that is brewing and a storm that's coming through Dallas. And it doesn't matter if you got all the milk from the supermarket, you got all the eggs off the shelf, right? You got all your toilet paper, and you're so prepared for the storm. It doesn't matter. This is going to be a nasty storm that's coming through Jerry's world on Sunday night. And the reason why the storm is even picking up in intensity and it's getting closer and closer and closer is if the Packers would have been 3-0, if the Packers didn't have a stinker up against the Cleveland Browns, maybe I would think the emotion of the Dallas Cowboys could actually will them to a victory. But the fact now that you have a Packers team who a week ago was talking about being undefeated, and then they got served some humble pie, I think that they're going to not only beat the Dallas Cowboys, I think they're going to beat them going away on Sunday night. And there's no CeeDee Lamb, so you're relying on George Pickens to have his head on screwed straight for a full 60-minute game. Just look at last week. He's not capable of doing that. Last week, you saw George Pickens drop a ball, it get intercepted, him freak out. Then he catches a first down when they were down by several touchdowns. And he's celebrating like if he just caught the game-winning pass in the Super Bowl and he's spinning the ball on the field. So I look at the Dallas Cowboys. I just really don't see a way, especially with the fact that the Packers are coming off a loss, where this is going to be a good night for Jerry Jones and company. I just don't see it. Now, the other question is there any way that Jerry can win back this fan base? And is there any way that Jerry Jones can succeed after Micah Parsons? And you look at it right now with all the money that they have tied up to Dak Prescott, with the lack of talent on this team, I just don't see how Jerry Jones ever recovers from trading Micah Parsons. Not that they would have won a Super Bowl with Micah, not that they would have been an NFC championship game, but you look at this defense right now. This defense is horrible. This defense, the last 2 weeks, they made Russell Wilson look like he was still a great quarterback. And last week, the perfect medicine that was served up to Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams after a disastrous first 2 weeks was going up against this Dallas defense led by Matt Eberflus. They can't rush the passer. And why can't they rush the passer? Because they don't have Micah Parsons. And the secondary, even though they're getting Deron Bland back, we would anticipate for Sunday, it's been a problem. And when you have a secondary that has a problem and you can't rush the passer, a problem turns into a disaster. So I'm looking at this right now with all the money they have tied up to Dak. They've paid CeeDee Lamb. Now he's hurt. And outside of that, what are the other pieces that you really have on this roster? You want to give me Deron Bland? Fine. You want to give me like one piece on the offensive line? Fine. But for an owner that's this old and Jerry Jones who's sitting there, and even though he has 2 first-round draft picks from Micah Parsons, they're not going to be premium picks. And he's 82. He turns 83 on October 13th, which is Columbus Day. I just don't see how Jerry is going to be able to get the talent in there where the Cowboys are going to be a force once again. Like, can they make the playoffs once again in his lifetime? Sure. But a force, a team we look at and a team that we say, hey, they could go win a Super Bowl? No. I just don't see it. And getting rid of Micah Parsons resets the entire time clock on your organization. And I don't think he's ever going to be able to recover from it, especially when you factor in his age being almost 83 years old. So Jerry Jones was on 105.3 The Fan this week in his weekly appearance with our guys Sean and RJ. Jerry Jones was asked, does he feel extra motivation to beat the Packers?
Yes, I do. And I think that, of course, I have said this time and time again, I think the world of Micah as an individual and, of course, know him well. And I might say I wish him well, except it's obvious I don't this weekend in terms of Green Bay winning the ball game. And so it makes for an exciting time.
And let's get to Jerry Jones. Are there any hard feelings towards Micah?
Absolutely not. Not at all. It was nothing personal. I told you I like Micah. And there was no issue regarding as much as people wanted to make that of it. There was no issue regarding feelings relative to the negotiation. Certainly not on my part. It was just par for the course.
And then let's get to Jerry Jones. Do they have a plan to slow down Micah Parsons coming up on Sunday night?
I'm anxious to see if over the years when I saw Michael mitigated, when I saw teams playing pretty well, which he's going to make some plays no matter how you play. But when I saw people play us well with Micah in the game, and it did happen, then obviously we'll be looking to try to run those kinds of plays.
It's going to be run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And, hey, you do whatever it takes to win, but Dak Prescott's getting paid $60 million a year. The fact that probably Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders and maybe even a sprinkle of Jaden Blue is going to be really their game plan, I just don't think it's going to be enough. I really don't. So let me just get to 2 more here. Micah Parsons, have you thought about maybe sacking Dak Prescott and what that is going to be like as you return on Sunday night?
It's gonna be painful. You know what I mean? Dak's my guy. He was always like a good mentor for me. But you know what it is. I always told him if I ever faced him that, it'll be a great matchup. So I'm excited to see what Sunday brings itself.
And then finally, here is Micah Parsons on going to Dallas to square up against his old team on Sunday.
For me, I accepted my fate weeks ago when the trade happened. So for me, it's just all about playing another game and just doing what I do best. And that's just be a disruptive football player. I think the media and the fans are trying to blow it up to be such a big thing. But, I just look at it just another game at AT&T.
So there you go. That's Micah Parsons talking to the AP. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a time out. Ryan Hickey's going to join us at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time today. Justice Haynes from the Michigan football team off to a great start each and every game this year. 4 games for the Wolverines. He has at least 100 rushing yards. He'll stop by at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then the head football coach at Oregon, Dan Lanning, is going to stop by at 5:20 p.m. Eastern time today. We'll take a timeout. We'll come on back. We'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We'll get to a news brief next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
All righty, news brief time on the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We talked about the QB change that was made yesterday in New York. It was long overdue. I thought they should have started the season with Jackson Dart as the starting quarterback. You knew that they threw Russell Wilson out there for the first 3 weeks. Now Jackson Dart is the man as the Giants go up against Los Angeles Chargers this weekend. Let's hear from Jackson Dart. Does he feel any pressure before his first NFL start?
I don't really feel pressure. I feel like, pressure is given to those who play at a high level. And, the best players in the world are the ones that you are kind of involved with that word pressure.
And then let's get to Russell Wilson. How did he react to getting benched over the weekend?
The best thing I can do is lead from the front. I thank God every day I get to do what I love to do and play this game with guys that I love and enjoy and being around, the locker room, the teammates. We've had 3 tough games, obviously, close ones in fashion, and 3 really good teams. We didn't get it done.
And let's get to Russell Wilson. He says this isn't the end for it.
I'm not done. I got so much belief in myself and know what I'm capable of. I believe I was able to show it, especially on the road in Dallas and everything else. I know that can help this football team, if that comes up. But, I think also, too, just for me mentally, just have the best practice. Have the best workout session in the morning.
He sounds so phony. Russ, retire. All right? Pack it up, take your ball, and go home. Because you have been a disaster. Ever since your ego got so big, you thought you had to do it your way, let Russ cook, and ever since you left Seattle, it's been ugly. They gave up on you in Denver after 1 year. I know you were there for 2, but Sean Payton was done with you his first year. And I understand you did some things well in Denver in the second year, but you put a lipstick on a pig. And last year, you got hurt. I don't know why they were having him push a sled, but he got hurt. And then they go to Justin Fields to start the season, and no one really actually wanted to see Russell Wilson come back in. But Tomlin goes to him. They didn't win any big games. They made the playoffs, and they went home on Wild Card Weekend. And then you go to the Giants, and did anyone want to see Russell Wilson start the last 3 weeks? No. So now they're going to Jackson Dart. Like, what do you actually think your football future is? I understand you're always going to believe in yourself. And when you were someone that was once great and then you're no longer great, there's a part of you and there's a desire in you to chase what you once were. But we're now talking 3-4 years since you left Seattle. And you weren't great in Denver. You weren't great in Pittsburgh. And the Giants said, yeah, we're good after 3 games. And if the one thing that Russell Wilson has to kind of hang his hat on is, oh, yeah, I played great up against the Cowboys, that defense sucks. And in all reality, you threw the game away when you made an ill-advised throw in overtime that was a layup interception for the Dallas Cowboys defense. So it's over. You're done. You're a backup quarterback now. And any organization moving forward in the future, if they actually say, oh, Russell Wilson's going to be our starter from day one, drug test him. And there's no way they would pass him. This guy is finished. He's washed. He's done. And he doesn't realize it. Go away. Retire. It is painful what you're doing to your legacy. You were a slam dunk easy Hall of Fame quarterback when you were in Seattle. And then you left, and the last 3-4 years have been so ugly where now people are saying, going to be a close call. Going to be an interesting debate whenever Russ does retire and his Hall of Fame status is eligible. Don't do this to yourself for the next 3 years. Don't keep on chasing what you once were, because that version of Russell Wilson for a full season is never, ever, ever coming back. It's never coming back here. It's not. So do yourself a favor. After this year, it's not riding off into the sunset, but go exit the stage and retire. Here is Brian Daboll. He won't say why he made the quarterback change.
Look, I did it. I'm not going to get into the specifics, like I said before. I think it's the right thing for our football team, and that's why I'm doing it.
I'll give you the answer. Because if he kept on trotting out Russell Wilson and the team kept on sucking, then all the fans are going to be saying, Brian Daboll, what are you doing? And Brian Daboll, outside of that 1 year where he was coach of the year and he had Daniel Jones in the second round of the playoffs, he's been a bad head coach. And you knew you weren't going to be able to hold off the Jackson Dart party for that long. You weren't going to be able to. Like, if you're looking at it, give me a reason if Russell Wilson was starting this weekend up against the Chargers, if you were a Giant fan, why you would be excited to tune in. You wouldn't be. So you got to rip off the Band-Aid and you got to go with the youngster. Brian Daboll, is there a risk playing a rookie quarterback?
I don't think any rookie quarterback is ever just ready to play. You put him in there because you think that he's done enough to show you that he can go out there and compete, and he's done that every step of the way, and that's why I made the decision.
Let's go to Mike Tomlin. Has Aaron Rodgers been what he's been expected to be so far for you guys?
He certainly has been, and not only in terms of his play, but in terms of his relationship with the game, how he interacts with teammates, how he loves the preparation process. All of those things have been double thumbs up, and so it's reasonable to expect the in-stadium performance to mirror that. And so he may be disappointed with how he played last week, but we got an opportunity this week to do something about it. And just watching him day to day is not a high level of concern in terms of the outcome being what he and we desire.
Here's the thing. He doesn't need to be great for them to make the playoffs and for them to lose in the wild card round once again. But he hasn't been all that good in Pittsburgh. Like week 1, he was good up against the Jets. Week 2, he was not good up against Seattle. And week 3, he was horrible up against the Patriots, and he looked old, and they were turning over the football. And the reason why they won that game is because the Patriots had 5 turnovers. So you look at Aaron Rodgers, I'm curious if he's going to be able to last the entirety of the season. I really am. And they have a game coming up on Sunday, and that's across the pond, and they're going up against the Minnesota Vikings. If that Vikings defense plays the way that they did last week, oh my, it could be an ugly, 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 ugly little English breakfast there for Aaron Rodgers. It could get really, really ugly because that defense, they not only hit, they hit hard. Brian Callahan gives his thoughts about giving up the play calling duties.
I'm going to hand over the play calling to Bo, and part of that process is, and part of the decision making in that process is that, Bo's been had some interim experience calling. He's been on the rookie quarterback before. That part of it will make it a little bit seamless in that regard.
I think he's a dead man walking. He's got a quarterback. He doesn't have a lot of talent. It's not really all him. I just don't think he's ever going to be a successful head coach. And you bring in a new GM, Mike Borgonzi, in the offseason, he's probably going to want to pick his own guy. Let's go to Coach Prime. He hates how the Jacksonville Jaguars are using Travis Hunter to start the season. This on the New Heights podcast.
Do you like how he's being used yet, or have you been able to even catch him?
Definitely not. They're not using him enough. I've seen it with my own eyes on an everyday basis for 3 straight years. So I know what he's capable of, and I know how you got to take care of him. He never practiced on Tuesdays. He's practiced on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He was ready to play 100 and some snaps on Saturday. So you didn't need to use him on a Tuesday or Monday. You don't use him like that. But Travis is a big kid, man. He just loves the game. He loves football. He loves studying. He loves the preparation. He always had at least 5 hours of study in each week because we keep that list. We know how much everybody's studying. And he is just a phenomenal athlete, one of the greatest I've ever seen do both simultaneously. Yeah. And he dominated. My rule is I'll let anybody do it as long as you dominate. You got to be dominant. You got to get it done. You got to get it done. I can't let you out there. You getting killed on the corner, but you playing receiver. How did that go?
No.
So far through 3 games, Travis Hunter has 10 receptions on 16 targets for 76 yards. He does not have a touchdown. And on defense, he's had 9 tackles and 1 pass deflection. It's been disappointing. and we haven't really talked about him. That means he hasn't been that great. So whether they're using him correctly or not, I want to see him start being the Travis Hunter in some capacity that we saw at Colorado, because that would be great for the NFL. And finally, let's hear from Chad Weiberg, the Oklahoma State AD. He gave his thoughts about the future of the program after getting rid of Mike Gundy yesterday, after Mike Gundy pretty much was at that university for 4 decades when you look back at his time as a player, an assistant coach, and then obviously the head coach since 2005.
This isn't about one moment. If we were stacking up moments, right, there's a whole lot of moments that are in the good category, but this is about the bigger picture, and absolutely our donors and our fans are critically important.
So why did you fire your coach? Let's listen up.
Decisions and significant investments were made following the end of the 2024 season intended to make us better. The outcomes so far this season have also not met expectations, leading to the decision that it is in the best interest of OSU to start the process of identifying the next head coach of Cowboy football.
I'll tell you what it is. It was overdue for a change. Mike Gundy is probably not easy to work with. He trashed the name, image, and likeness stuff a lot. And, okay, you get blown out up against Oregon, not the end of the world. But then you lose at home to Tulsa. It's just time. The guy was Oklahoma State. It's time for a new coach. And now you need to find, they probably should have done it at the end of the season. You know, last year, especially with how disastrous that was. And he put his own foot in his mouth and created a whole controversy with this running back. But for Oklahoma State, it's time to find a guy who's like 35, 40 years old that gets what this new era of college football is. And that's all embracing NIL. And Mike Gundy is stuck in his old ways. All righty, that's a news brief. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. Ryan Hickey's going to start our guest list today. He'll join us coming up in 5 minutes. Justice Haynes, the Michigan running back, at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then Dan Lanning on the week that Oregon does go to Happy Valley to play Penn State. He's going to stop by at 5:20 p.m. Eastern time. Hickey next. First up, update time. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's brought to you by Old Trapper. Listen up, not all beef jerky is the same. Old Trapper is better for you and higher in essential protein than chips, sugar-filled energy bars, or candy. So ask for Old Trapper by name because no other jerky compares. Old Trapper, what's your beef? Jaden Daniels is hoping to be back this weekend. The Commanders quarterback was a limited participant in today's practice due to a sprained knee, while the Packers right tackle Zach Tom not expected to play on Sunday night against the Cowboys after re-injuring his oblique. The Eagles have placed Nolan Smith on injured reserve. He aggravated a triceps injury and isn't expected back until early November after the team's bye. Baseball's playoff races are much different, but just as exciting nonetheless. The Nationals and Braves not involved in one, but the Braves had won 10 straight. That winning streak is over as the Nats win the series finale today by a score of 4-3. The Brewers and Padres about to get underway in San Diego, which is a game and a half out in the American League West. And the Guardians have caught the Tigers, who were leading the AL Central the entire season. But with 5 games left, they are now tied for the division lead. Cleveland goes for its 12th win in 13 games tonight against Detroit. I'm Rich Hacker.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is, play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The piping hot takes of Ryan Hot Take Hickey do not, I repeat, do not reflect the views of the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
It's Hickey at night Sunday. I'm combing our hair with moose gel and spray. The takes are so hot, hot, hot. Sometimes it's right, usually not. This best segment is coming up next, but you better watch out for the Hickey head. Hot takes and hair gel on a Sunday night. Hickey's got the taste that probably aren't right. Dropping a teaser for what's coming up next, but you better watch out for the Hickey heads. Talking Penn State while Stu's smoking kush, but Hickey is always the number one bush. You were nicer and more, it's might get more sober than Stu. We only joke of us, we like you, but I have to ask, is it true? Is your hair held together by pace and glue? Oh, Hickey's takes are coming up next, but you better watch out for the Hickey hacks.
All righty, it's time to Ask the Pros. The listener gets asked us a question. It's brought to you by our friends at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. And on the week of Penn State, Oregon, we have the Oregon side being represented coming up at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time by their head football coach in Dan Lanning. The Penn State side is being represented by the Brian Hot Take Hickey. Hickster, how are you?
I am good. I'm very excited for Saturday. Get me there. I'm ready to go.
Okay, let me ask you this. For Saturday, give me the Hickey prediction. Where's the confidence level going into this one? And how do you think this game is going to be played out with the whiteout of Penn State, the home fans going nuts? You got your nighttime game, big opponent, so we could stop with that bitching that you guys always do. Oregon, Penn State, under the lights, Happy Valley, 6 versus 3. Your confidence level and how you see the game playing on out.
Let me bring you back to mid-January of this year. Because the last time I was on this show, when Penn State played a big game, I was confident as all it could be. There was no chance Penn State was going to lose to Notre Dame. It was a guarantee, whatever lock you could have done to the extreme. That's how confident I felt.
I think we're getting a putty cat here today.
About Penn State beating Notre Dame. With that said, I will not repeat that performance. I will say instead cautiously optimistic. I think this is a lower scoring game. I'm going to say Penn State wins 27-17. I think the strength of their defense, Jim Knowles, with what he did against Will Stein the second time around in the College World Playoff last year, is what we'll see more of than the first time around when Ohio State had a lot of success against that Jim Knowles defense, or Oregon, I should say, had a lot of success against that Jim Knowles defense in Eugene. Lower scoring game. Penn State, I think, runs the ball, runs it effectively, more about the run game than is Drew Aller. 27-17, they win on Saturday.
Okay. Now, the math isn't adding up here.
Why is that?
Because you said, like, the confidence isn't that high. You said you're cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, that's more optimistic than not.
And then you think it's going to be a 10-point victory?
It's not a blowout.
It's 6 versus 3.
It's a close game.
You seem very, very, very nervous going into this.
Oh, I'm nervous for sure.
And then you're still going to get a 10-point victory. That seems as if you're afraid to mush the team.
No, I think, look, I have not loved what I've seen so far. Also, it's the competition. Also, it's, I don't know if they're actually just being vanilla. Well, they are being vanilla intentionally, but are they? I thought they looked more dominant through 3 weeks than they have. And I don't know, again, what that, I think there's a lot of factors there, but that's why in June, I thought there's a chance they blow them up by 17. Now, as you get closer to the game, Oregon looks good. Penn State does not. It brings the optimism down a little bit, but Penn State's a good team. Like, they have the better coaching staff. They have the better, more talented team. This is the first time you could say that about.
Oh, I'd rather have Dan Lanning than James Franklin.
I'd rather have Andy Kotelnicki and Jim Knowles than what Oregon has, Tosh Lupoi and Will Stein. So I think Penn State's the better coaches. They have the better talent. You got to go out and win the game. But that's why, even with what I've seen so far through the first 3 weeks.
Do they have the better quarterback? Drew Aller, Dante Moore.
I don't think it matters. Because Penn State's not built to win through their quarterback. Drew Aller has to play well, but they're not built where they need Aller to play well in order for them to win.
Well, they
have
lost
a really good
last year
defense
because of their quarterback. Aller was horrendous up against Notre Dame.
Right. I mean, just don't throw a pick in your own end with 30 seconds left.
That's the difference between winning and losing.
And I don't think Aller will do that this week, but they don't need him to throw for 300 yards in order to win the game the way I think that Oregon needs Dante. Like, Oregon needs Dante Moore to play well in order for them to win. Penn State can still win this game with Drew Aller playing an average game.
Are you okay, by the way? Did you get punched in the eye this week?
I popped a blood vessel.
Oh, my God.
Which, you know what? Actually, I don't know what will be.
You're that nervous for the game?
Pop a few blood vessels depending on how this weekend goes.
That eye is red, man.
Feels fine.
Sorry to do that to you.
No, it's okay.
You're talking and I realize it.
It doesn't look pretty.
You and Bill fighting? Bill drive down to New York and punch you in the eye? No?
Oh, no. He did not punch me 3,000 miles away.
All right, let me get some thoughts on some other games.
Okay.
Alabama, Georgia. Who do you like this weekend?
I think Kirby breaks a streak. I think at home, I like the talent. They showed a lot of, we'll say, courage to keep it clean. And that road win over Tennessee a few weeks ago. I like Georgia at home in this one.
Can I throw an upset watch alert?
Please.
I'm not saying this team is going to win, but it is just a team that I'm curious where I think it could be a trap game. And right now, I think this team is the best team in the country. Ohio State, Washington, this week at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You're at Husky Stadium. I don't know how good Washington is, but they are undefeated right now. And Ohio State, they already had that moment where everyone praised them after week one with what they did up against Texas. That's an 8.5-point spread. I would take the points this weekend.
I'll do even better. I like Washington outright.
Oh, boy. Now I would lay the 8.5.
22 straight home wins for Washington. They're a very tough home team. This is the first now, this is not the first big game, but the first road game Ohio State has played with a lot of young, unproven talent. DeMond Williams, I think, is a really dynamic player. Washington can run the ball well. It's Ohio State's weakness on defense. I like the upset here. Give me Washington.
USC, Illinois. Illinois got smoked last week. Google me. Man. Kurt Signetti just dominated them. So when you get dominated like that for a team that has college football playoff aspirations, you wonder how they're going to be able to respond. They're going up against USC. Mm-hmm. USC is in the top 25, but they played nobody.
Right.
Missouri State, Georgia Southern, Purdue, Michigan State. USC now has a stretch where they play Illinois, Michigan, Notre Dame, Nebraska. We're going to really find out how good this USC team is in their next 4 games. Is this a spot, Illinois at home, where they bounce back up against USC as USC is on the road, a 6.5-point favorite for a 21-23 AP poll matchup?
This is honestly the game I feel like I have the least feel on because, like, Illinois' offense has been bad this year compared to what I thought it would be. They brought back 10 starters. Luke Altmaier's there. They're struggling to run the ball mightily. They're struggling even to pass the ball as well. Like, I mean, that game I did not see coming last week at all. But at the same time, like, okay, they're still like a physical Brett Bielema-style team, right? That should give USC trouble. Like you said, they put up a lot of points, but also they played no one USC. I think I would take USC on the road here in a game that I did not think I would pick USC at all before this week. But just like after so many times, right now we're a month in. Now you really kind of start to see who teams are, and now it's not a week or two trend, but you're starting to see their identity. Even with what they've returned talent-wise, I don't like what I've seen from Illinois' offense.
Are you in on this Lane Kiffin stuff right now?
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
Wait, so if I'm understanding this right, his daughter hard launched a relationship this week, so posted on its social media, and she's dating an LSU football player as Ole Miss plays LSU. Did I get that right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, boy. That's something.
LSU,
Ole Miss, Oxford, Mississippi. Ole Miss is a 1.5-point favorite. LSU's defense is really damn good this year. The offense has been a problem. Who do you give the edge to?
I'm rooting for Ole Miss. I think LSU is going to win on the road. I think that defense is legit. You have Ole Miss playing their backup quarterback again. Chambers has played well, but still, that's a tough one. You can't really run the ball consistently. I like Ole Miss, I like LSU, even though their offense has not been what it's supposed to be, especially that offense, trying to run the ball has not been very good. But I think they make enough plays, enough talent there. I like LSU on the road.
Notre Dame, Arkansas. Notre Dame is 1-2. They got a win last week. They need a win in the worst way, though, to continue this. You can't lose another game the rest of the season. Notre Dame on the road is only a 3.5-point favorite up against Sam Pittman, who's fighting for his job.
He is. I mean, this one feels like both offenses are really good. Both defenses stink. Last one, the ball wins.
This is a Jeremiah Love game.
I'm going to take Notre Dame, Stu, which maybe, I guess,
great.
Apologies. Yeah. I just trust their talent more and their coaching more. Like you said, Sam Pittman in a big game. I don't know, but 11 a.m. local kick. Notre Dame's defense has been terrible with Chris Ash. That's not going to change at all. Taylor Green's going to rip them up. I'll take Notre Dame in a squeaker.
Auburn A&M. So Auburn loses last week to Oklahoma when one of those touchdowns shouldn't have counted. Mateer now is going to be out for a few weeks.
Yep.
And Auburn is going up against A&M, who had that win a few weeks ago, up against Notre Dame in South Bend. You go to College Station. Does Hugh Freeze get an upset victory on the road as A&M's a 6.5-point favorite?
I don't think so. Jackson Arnold, even with, look, we could talk, right, the touchdown shouldn't have been. He also got sacked 10 times. Have some pocket awareness. Now, look, A&M's defense is not as good as Oklahoma's, but still, on the road again, I'll take A&M at home.
And the last thing I'll ask you here. Jackson Dart, right decision by the Giants?
Yes. Russ stinks.
You ended Russ's career. You honestly may prevent Russ from going to the Hall of Fame because when he got to Denver, you said he was winning the Super Bowl that year,
That's right.
the MVP of the league, and the Super Bowl MVP.
That's right.
And you had Nate Hackett as the coach of the year. Not Nathaniel Hackett, Nate Hackett.
I would blame Nate Hackett more than me, but
I don't know. You ended
great.
that guy's career.
He needs
to Russ needs to retire by now.
Yeah. Because, like, that's the crazy part. We're talking about David Bill. Like, because there's the thought of, could Russ get traded? Who wants him?
No
Like,
one.
Who needs him?
The Bengals will go with Jake Browning.
I agree. Like, we made an argument, we both agreed. If you're the Vikings, you keep Carson Wentz right now over Russell Wilson. It's crazy. Yeah, it's
easy.
It's insane.
And you know what? Russ doesn't really take accountability. Every time you hear him speak, he's fake. He's very phony. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I don't.
It's tough.
I don't know.
Well, you're paid to give an opinion, so give an opinion.
I am going to say right now, no. He's not a Hall of Famer. Because I also don't think Philip Rivers is a Hall of Famer. I don't think Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer.
Eli's
Russell Wilson's not a Hall of Famer.
Eli's going to get in, though. Will you
He
acknowledge
will
that?
get in. I would not vote for him if I was a voter. I don't think he should get in. He's average. That's it.
It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
What a fall from grace, Russ.
Yeah, man. It really is. Who's the Russell Wilson here at the Infinity Sports Network?
Great question.
Hickey's like, play the music. Oh, there's the music.
Oh, no, the segment's over. Damn it.
Justice Haynes going to join us for the Michigan football team when we come on back. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. 27-17, you're taking Penn State.
27-17. Let's go. Come on.
Go Ducks. I love my Ducks. I love the Ducks, baby. Zach Gelb Show.
Good.
Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Last weekend, it was a monster weekend in college football. Michigan did go to Lincoln, Nebraska, and they did get a road victory. And Justice Haynes played a big role in that. Their running back transferring over from Alabama. He's been off to an awesome start to the season. And up against the Cornhuskers, he had 17 carries for 149 yards and ripped off a run 75 yards to the house for a touchdown. The Michigan running back in Justice Haynes is kind enough to join us right now. Justice, first off, congratulations on the win and the performance. Appreciate the time. And how are you?
Yes, sir. I've been good. Thank you for allowing me to come on here, and I've been great. And, it's always great to get a good win on Saturday.
There were a lot of questions about this Michigan team after the way you guys performed up against Oklahoma. I know you guys had a game in between, but what you guys have done the last 2 times out, especially in Lincoln up against the Cornhuskers, what do you think the Michigan Wolverines have kind of showed everyone what team you could be with the last 2 times you got on a football field?
I mean, we don't let 1 week define us. So that Oklahoma loss, we watched the film, we learned from it. But one thing that we emphasized after that loss was it's not the what, it's the how. It's the how we do things around here. And I think that's a big emphasis, and that's an emphasis that we're going to keep going through forward. And it just kind of lighted gas to our fire. We know we didn't execute the way we wanted to execute against Oklahoma, and, we don't want to live life in regret. And so we want to just continue to keep moving forward what we can move forward in, and winning the day, winning each meeting, winning each opportunity we get. And that's ultimately going to make us successful. And like I said, it's not the what, it's the how. So I think that's what we've been showing.
You've had a really good start to the season individually. You've had 4 straight 100-plus yard games. You've been able to break out these long touchdown runs. Take me through the 75-yard home run hitter that got you in the end zone on Saturday.
Yeah, first of all glory to God for just giving me the ability to go do that, and just allowing me to play this game each and every day. But, Coach Lindsey called a great play call. Bryce had a good handoff. O-line blocked great. Crip, his block was tremendous. That was the block that sprung the big run. And then the receivers and the tight ends blocking downfield, that's where the big plays come from. At the end of the day, those were the big plays come from, because without them blocking down the field, there's DBs in the secondary that can make plays. So them being able to block down field is big and tremendous. And then I just saw green grass and I just kind of ran to it. Saw the safety came down and ran.
Michigan, the last 3 to 4 years, they've been known, right? Physical offensive lines, physical defensive line, and then really pounding the rock and dominating in the run game. When you guys walked into that one up against Nebraska, a big key for Nebraska was going to be how could you slow down the 1-2 punch that Michigan has on the offensive side of the ball, running the ball, also with the ability of your quarterback too. Did you guys think that was a favorable matchup for you guys on the ground going into that one? Because you guys had a lot of success on Saturday running the ball.
I think any game we go into, we pride ourselves on that. We pride ourselves on being able to run the ball and stop the run. So anytime we go into a game, that's what we want to establish. We know it starts with the O-line. We know it starts with the D-line. And it starts in the trenches. And we win the trenches. Most times out of not, that's any football team, you're going to win the game usually. So we know that. We take a lot of pride in that. But I think, any opponent we go against, we feel confident in our ability. We feel confident in what we do here each and every day. And like I said, it's not the what, it's the how. It's the how we do things. It's not what the play call was. It's how we execute it. So I think as long as we continue to keep doing that, we'll continue to keep having success.
Justice Haynes here with us. You never know what it's going to be like when you transfer. I always call the transfer portal, it's like speed dating. You could think you're getting in a good relationship and then it doesn't work out. You could also think you're getting into a good relationship and it does work out and you end up marrying that person. For you, 4 games in, it seems like this transition to Michigan has been seamless and it's been pretty much perfect for you. Why has that been the case that Michigan's the right fit for one Justice Haynes?
Yeah, I felt like God was really pushing me here. He had a special calling for me here. And I knew coming into the portal, I was just gonna put it into God's hands, and that's what I did. I fell in love with this place from the moment I got here. But I fell in love with, Coach Moore, the love he has for us players, and the way he goes about business and the way he can, he knows how to have fun, but then he also knows when it's time to be serious and time to lock in and be about our business. So that's what I love about it. But then also there's the running back room. I mean, man, TA, like that man right there, like I love that man to death. I'll do anything for that man. He's the reason I came here. TA, Freddie J, those are the reasons I came here. The amount of knowledge in that room, them too, like it starts in the top, and we talk about it all the time in our running back room. And the way that this whole team's accepted me has really been a true blessing. But we talk about it all the time in our room. Like, we don't want to just be the best unit. We want to be the best unit in the country, complete country. Like, anyone, you look at our room, you should be able to say, like, that's the best unit in the country. So we talk about that, and then you shouldn't be able to tell a leader, and I don't think you can in our room. I think our whole room is talented as all get out. But it starts in the top with Freddie J and TA pushing us each and every day, and ultimately carries on to us players, and then we carry that on to the team.
But why did you leave Alabama? We all know their football tradition and how great of a school they've been for so many years in football. Why did Justice Haynes say, okay, I need to go to a different school?
I think it was just, I felt like God was pushing me in a different direction. I truly felt like, I had prayed on it, and I'm very faithful. And I feel like God, I was very thankful for my time, and I'm very thankful for my time that I had at Alabama. It was well spent, learned a lot. But sometimes God has a different calling for you, and I feel like that's what it was. He had a different path for me. And that's why I ultimately got in the portal, and God had a calling for me to come to Michigan. So that's why I ended up here. But yeah.
You got recruited by Nick Saban. You played for him for 1 year. What did you take away from your time around such a legend in Nick Saban?
Man, that's the go right there. Coach Saban, just being able to say that I was able to be coached by Coach Saban is truly a blessing. But Coach Saban, one thing I took from him is just, the discipline. He was all about discipline. He was all about how you do some things is how you do everything. And he was all about the details. And that's what made him so great for so many years, is how detail-oriented he was. And he didn't care if we were up 50 or if we were losing. He was going to coach you like the hardest he can possibly coach you. And I saw that, he was on the defense side of the ball, but I saw that in all the time. Like, in the way he just talked to us, the way he went about his business. But just being able to be coached by Coach Saban was truly a blessing. That's the GOAT right there. But I took away a lot from Coach Saban,
I'll never forget. I was on the air the day he retired. Like, the news came out as we were on the air, and I couldn't believe it. How did you find out, and what was your reaction the day Nick Saban walked away from Alabama? Because it still doesn't feel real all these years later.
Yeah. So he called a team meeting, and we knew it was kind of serious because we had surgeries and stuff that day that people had to get done. We had just finished the season. And they were like, everyone needs to be there. Like, they canceled the surgeries. They said everyone needs to be there. So we get in, like, he's talking, and I'm thinking, like, okay, like, originally, like, we're about to start this new season. Like, we're just having a team meeting basically, we had been off for a little bit. And now we're about to start this new season, get into this winter cycle, get going and make a push for this thing next year. And he goes, he's talking, and then at the end of it, he says, I'll be retiring. And, like, none of us knew. And we all started looking at each other, like, to left and right, and we're like, coaches didn't know. No one knew. I remember, and then the AD came up and he was like, just give me 48 hours. And that was what said. We went into our position meetings and we were all just in shock. You know, our coach Coach G, he didn't really even know what to say to us. And we didn't even know what to say because everyone didn't think that was ever going to happen. You know, it was kind of surreal. But you heard it drop.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's still stunning to this day. Justice Haynes here with us. So you're at Michigan right now with Sharon Moore, who was obviously on Harbaugh's staff. The last 2 years he's been the head coach. Knowing what Saban is about, and then also being there for a year with Kalen DeBoer, what makes you think that Sharon Moore and Kalen DeBoer, both of them, can continue what Alabama set out to do and what Michigan has also set out to do when you look at both those coaches, knowing both of them?
I think, Coach DeBoer he's a great human, great person, very great coach, very skillful in coaching. I think he has a great offensive mind. And I think that he is going to be very successful at Alabama, just the way he goes about his business as well. Coach Moore here at Michigan, I know he's going to be very successful, just by the way he goes about his business. I mean, I say it all the time. Coach Moore reminds me of a younger Coach Saban. Not like he's younger in the version, and like he relates with us very well, but like just the way he goes about his business, and the way he handles us players, it's very similar to Coach Saban. Coach Saban cared a lot about, off the field and like what we're doing off the field. It's the same thing with Coach Moore. Like he cares more about that and like the human being than he does with the football player. But he's also about that hard work, that details, not talking about it, just be about it. But then he's also, we go in the cafeteria and he's having a blast with you and he's cracking jokes. Just like, a lot of people didn't see that in Coach Saban. But if you're around him, like that's how he was, like when we're not on the football field. Like he wasn't just this big stickler all the time. Like, no, he had fun. I love being around Coach Saban. And I love being around Coach Moore just like that. So
Justice Haynes here with us for a few more minutes. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You're coming off a monster game up against Nebraska on the season. You have 537 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns through 4 games. I'm a Heisman Trophy voter. It's tough for a running back to win the award. I voted for Ashton Genty last year, number 1. I thought he should have won the award. Do you at all with your start think about, okay, maybe I could make a case and make a run for the Heisman Trophy this year?
It doesn't really cross my mind. I mean, I'm very blessed each and every day, like I said, to play this game. I control the controllables each and every day, the things I can control. Let God handle the rest, and I'll be just fine. I don't really think about all that stuff, like my stats, all that stuff, social media. I stay away from all that. That's something that, I like to do because I don't want to hear the really good. I don't want to hear the really bad. I just want to stay even keel. Don't get too high with the highs, too low with the lows. And just be myself each and every day and just go out there and compete and be the best version of myself and win the day. And I know God will take care of the rest. So that's what I try to do. And I'm not really worried about all the other stuff.
Let me ask you about some of your teammates. There's so much praise and hype with Bryce Underwood. He's such a youngster, though, being a freshman. So there's going to be some good moments. There's going to be some bad moments like for us all. What really stands out with you, with your quarterback and Bryce Underwood so far?
I think just the way Bryce came in here and just won over the team, I think that was really special. The way he came in here as a humble kid, a hardworking kid, when he has every accolade, every accomplishment in high school at a Michigan football player, he is Mr. Michigan. and he didn't have to come in there like that, and he did. He came in and he just put his head down and worked. And he's becoming a very vocal leader. And you've seen him transition into that. But you got to first lead by your actions, and I think he did that, and then now he's leading by his voice. But I think Bryce, we all know how talented he is, but just the person he is, that's what I see that a lot of people don't get to see. And then that's what I love about Bryce.
Tell me a little bit about your running mate. There's so many good running back rooms in the country. You got Notre Dame, you got Penn State, and then also yours. How about Jordan Marshall? What's impressed you so far in the early goings of the season?
Yeah, I love Jay Marsh. That's like my little brother. Jay Marsh is a hardworking kid, a great player, going to continue to do great things here. But it's not just Jay Marsh. I know a lot of people just talk about Jay Marsh and it's the whole running back room, like I alluded to earlier. Like all the other guys in that room, like Jasper Parker, Kuz, Capana, Tomas, like all those guys, everyone else, Donovan Johnson, like all those other guys in the room, like you wouldn't be able to tell a leader. Like it's iron sharpens iron, that whole room. Like we all want to be great. We all want to be the best we could possibly be. And we're all sharpening each other and all climbing this trajectory together. But that whole room, I just love the way we all compute. I truly believe we had the best unit and best room in the country, period. But it starts, like I said, from the top with TA and Freddie J, pushing us the way they push us each and every day. But I think the world of our room, and I'm just thankful for the way they accepted me into that room.
When you first transferred to Michigan, was it a little bit bizarre just because you did go up against them 2 years ago in that Rose Bowl, and that was a classic game between Michigan and Alabama? I know college football is a business now. The transfer portal happens all the time. But was that a little odd to you at first, going from Alabama to Michigan?
100%. You know, I did think about that. I was like, dang, I just lost to these people, and now I'm about to go be part of it. So, you know, that was kind of surreal. But then also, Michigan and Bama were playing each other in the
in the bowl game, yeah.
The bowl game, and I'm like, wow, I just went to Michigan. I'm going to Michigan, and they're about to play each other. And I just left Bama, so you know, watching that game was pretty funny. I was watching back at home, but it was pretty funny watching that game because, you know, I want to see my brothers that I just competed with and played, and I want to see them do good, but I also want to see my new team get a win. The good guys got to win, so, you know, that's always good.
But when you're at Alabama, obviously the rivalry is Auburn. When you're at Michigan, the rivalry is Ohio State. I know that's at the end of the season. Full disclosure, I can't stand Ohio State. So when you look at that rivalry at the end of the year, how excited are you to be a part of that legendary run of Michigan up against Ohio State in the game?
Well, I'm very excited. You know, I can't wait. You know, I hear about it all the time. They said until you play in it, you're not going to know how it really feels. But I know that's a big deal around here. That's a really, really big deal, that game. What are we doing to beat Ohio State? We put that on our board every day. No red in the building, none of that stuff. We don't play that. And I just can't wait to be able to have the opportunity to play in that game. It's such a special rivalry that there is in that game.
Justice Haynes, a few more questions with you. Going back to the Nebraska game, at halftime, you guys allowed that Hail Mary. It's tied up. What was the scene like in the locker room in halftime to get the second half effort that you guys did get on Saturday?
It wasn't anything. We knew, we felt like we dominated that first half. We really did. We know they got lucky on one play. That's part of it. You know, one play ain't going to define us. And I came in, I remember I was telling the locker room, like, that one play doesn't define what we just did in that first half to them. The mental, physical defeat that we just put on them in the first half. And we got to take that into the second half and continue to keep doing that. So that one play, it was what it was. We put it behind us. It is what it is. We just knew we had to come out in the second half and just continue to keep dominating mentally and physically. And I feel like we did continue to do that.
I know you're focused on the offense and you weren't going up against their offense, but when you're on the sideline and you got to see a little bit of Dylan Raiola, their quarterback, Nebraska, what stood out to you about him?
His toughness. I think we sacked him. We were talking about 8 times or something like that. He got hit, I feel like, every play. But he kept getting up. He kept delivering strikes. Great player. I know him a little bit. You know, he went to my high school after I had left. So I know about him and a little bit about him, talked to him, been around him a couple times. So I know him. And I know he's a hardworking kid. I know he's a humble kid. And he's a great player. So he's going to continue to do great things.
you grew up in a football family. Your dad played for the Steelers and ended his career with the Falcons. He won a Super Bowl with the Steelers. What type of football fan outside of your dad were you growing up as a kid? Like, were there some running backs you really liked?
Jerome Bettis, all the way.
Of course.
Like,
The
yeah,
bus.
So they call me Lil Bussy. That's something Jerome called me. He called me Bussy, and it's kind of stuck with me. So like my family and my close family, you'll hear them a lot of times. They'll be like, "What up, Bussy?" So Bussy, that's something that Jerome gave me. But Jerome he's always been like another piece that I can always go to, father figure that's helped, and when I need questions or anything like that, that I can ask. So definitely Jerome.
Last thing I'll ask you, just for people that wrote this team off after the Oklahoma game, what do you think your Michigan team can be moving forward the rest of the way? What do you think you guys could still accomplish?
I think we can accomplish everything we set out to ourselves at the beginning of the year, and that's to win the whole thing. I think that's, it's all right in front of us. Like I said, it's not the what, it's the how. We got to control the controllables, control what we can control, and put the rest in God's hands. But we can definitely still accomplish everything that we want to do. We just got to keep stacking days, which should lead to stacking weeks, and go 1-0 every day and every week. And when we look up, we'll be right where we want to be.
Well, Justice, really enjoyed the conversation. Good luck, good health the rest of the way, and a heck of a start to the season. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There he is, Justice Haynes, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. When we come on back, John Mateer going to miss some time with that hand injury. How does that impact the SEC? If you had to make a prediction today on who wins the SEC, who would it be? We'll get to that next. Also still to come, Dan Lanning is going to stop by, the head football coach at Oregon, at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time today, 2:20 p.m. Pacific. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. A quick update from Adam Schefter. Schefter from the ESPN. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, who hasn't looked pretty awesome this year, who hasn't been able to rock out with this Brock out yet this year because of this toe injury. He will be limited in practice today as he continues to try to come back from his toe injury. Mac Jones has been good enough the last 2 weeks for the 49ers to get not one but two victories as the 49ers are undefeated. They're 3-0. The 49ers do play the Jaguars this week, and then they have a short week up against the Rams. If I'm the Niners, and the fact that you've won these last two games without Brock Purdy, and I know that you paid him, so then you feel compelled to play him if he's healthy, wouldn't you just sit him this Sunday? Let him get the extra tender loving care. Let him get a little more rest for this toe injury, because it'd be one thing, right, if you play the Jaguars this Sunday and then you have the Rams next week and that's on a Sunday or a Monday. The fact that it's on a Thursday and it's a short week, I would rather get whatever's going on here out of the way and just give him a little extra time. And even if you drop the game to Jacksonville, you'd be 3-1. You've won both these games without him. And the timeline was supposed to be at first a 3 to 5 week injury. And then it's like, oh, he's a quick healer, so maybe he was going to play last week, and clearly he didn't. If I'm the Niners, I'm saying to Brock, hey, we'll see you Thursday. Get ready for next Thursday. This Sunday, we feel confident enough with Mac Jones going up against the Jaguars, which, by the way, is a Mac Jones revenge game. And I say that with a lot of jest. Because it's not like the Jaguars screwed over Mac Jones. If you wanted to say it was like Bill Belichick going up against Mac Jones, then it could be a Mac Jones revenge game. But Mac Jones was on the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. All right, yesterday we found out that John Mateer is going to miss what we think is about a month. There's still an outside chance that he's still back for Red River. But he had that thumb injury that required surgery and all that jazz. Earlier this morning was the SEC teleconference that they do each and every week with their coaches. Here is Brent Venables when he was asked if we could get a timeline for John Mateer's return.
not really interested in going through a timeline. It's not really important now. Hasn't had the procedure yet. He has it today. And so we'll see how everything goes and assess things from there. But we're getting, Mike Hawkins ready here for next week. And that's kind of where our thoughts are.
So bye week, that's 1 week. Then you play Kent State. That's 2 weeks. Then you have Red River with Texas. That would be 3 weeks. A little less than 3 weeks. Do I think he'll be ready for Texas? He could try. I think that's asking a lot. You're probably looking at South Carolina at the earliest. Maybe they do some gamesmanship going into Red River and they make you think that there's a chance he's going to play. But I would say at South Carolina would be my guesstimation at the earliest. And then at the absolute latest, you probably think it's October 25th up against Ole Miss. Let's hear one more from Brent Venables. How will Mateer help while he's injured?
He's a leader. He's a guy that's very connected to everybody. So keep him engaged. And he's got a great lens that he'll be able to see things from a quarterback perspective, that he'll be able to help, Mike as well, when needed. But he'll stay very involved. You want that for him. Keep him in a good rhythm.
So these are the teams right now in the country that are ranked in the SEC. Ole Miss is 13th. LSU is 4th. Missouri is 20th. Oklahoma is 7th. Vanderbilt 18th. Georgia 5th. A&M 9th. Texas 10th. Alabama 17th. And Tennessee 15th. So with this John Mateer injury news, and hey, he could miss about a month, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but it's about a month. He's getting the surgery today. With what we've seen through the first 3-4 games of the college football season, who would be your pick right now to win the SEC? And I got to go with Georgia. I know the highest ranked team is LSU. They're 4th. They have some offensive problems right now. I think they'll find a way to get that figured out. Their defense has always been their problem the last few years. Now their defense is playing well. But this is kind of a year where you look at the SEC, you say it's up for grabs. Like last year, we said the same thing. Oh, the SEC is up for grabs. And is Georgia as strong as what they were 2-3 years ago? No, they're not. But Georgia, still when they weren't even playing their best game, and Tennessee basically had a game that was gift wrapped to them and was basically they were going to win the game, Georgia found a way to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. And that was their first legitimate game of the season because they played Marshall and Austin Peay before that. Now, they have Alabama this weekend. They could lose to Alabama. Georgia the rest of the way plays Kentucky, Auburn, Ole Miss, Florida, Mississippi State, Texas, Charlotte, and Georgia Tech. You look at that schedule, it's not that difficult. Like, I gave you earlier Oklahoma's schedule. Oklahoma plays Kent State, Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, LSU. Florida is always one of those tough schedules this year that we've been talking about as well. You just look at some of these other SEC teams, Texas, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State. You look at the Georgia schedule, this weekend up against Alabama, we need to see what Alabama is. You would figure that they won't lose to Kentucky or Auburn. Ole Miss, I think, is a little bit overrated this year at 13. Florida stinks. Mississippi State is undefeated, but I don't think they're beating Georgia. You play Texas. We still don't know what Arch Manning is. You play Charlotte, and then you play Georgia Tech at the end of the season. And Georgia Tech, that was a heck of a game last year. I think it went to 7 overtimes. And the quarterback, obviously, Haynes King and Brent Key, they've done a really good job with the Yellow Jackets. But I look at Georgia, the schedule, and since it's open and the belief that they have in Gunnar Stockton, until someone takes out Georgia in the SEC championship game, they're going to be my pick. And last year was Georgia up against Texas. And even after Georgia had a quarterback injury, it didn't matter, and they still found a way to win the game. So until I see someone holding up a championship trophy from the SEC that isn't Georgia, I'm going to tend to believe that Georgia's going to win the SEC. Stu, who's your pick to win the SEC if Georgia's off the table?
I will go right now with the team that is ranked highest in the SEC, and that's actually LSU, which I didn't think I would be saying that at the beginning of the season, but they're 4-0. That Clemson win, obviously doesn't look as good now as it looked in the moment, but that was still a big win at a tough atmosphere. They beat Florida as well. I think the thing for me is, you mentioned the schedule. There are some toughies on LSU's schedule. They do have A&M at home. They go to Alabama. They go to Oklahoma. But other than that, there's nothing that's too crazy. And obviously this weekend at Ole Miss. But there's a loss or two in there for sure. But I would not be shocked if this is a 11-win team, especially with Nussmeier. I think the passing game will get going, and the defense is really good, an SEC defense in LSU.
Yeah, you said something that I'm not going after you when I say this, but I just hate when college football fans do this. I think we really got to value the wins when they happen. Like, the Clemson win was a great win for LSU. Now, we were all wrong on Clemson. Everyone thought Clemson was a national championship contender this year with Cade Klubnik and all the talent that they have and Dabo Swinney being the coach. And then Clemson has lost now 3 of the first 4 games of the season. But at the time, that was a big boy. And I mean a big boy victory for LSU. So I've always done that where since I actually watch the games, unlike a lot of these people that vote in the AP poll and do all this stuff, they just go, all right, at the end of the season, how did this victory age and that? No, it's when it happened, when you watched it, how did you view it in my estimation? Like, should I penalize LSU because Clemson ended up sucking this year? No. When they played LSU-Clemson, there was a lot of question marks in LSU. LSU delivered, and they beat what we thought was going to be a great team in Clemson, and Clemson ended up projectile vomiting the season before we could even get to October. So, Samter, if LSU is off the board, if Georgia is off the board, who do you have winning the SEC?
I'm probably going to get ripped for this, but I'm going with Texas.
No.
Texas' only loss so far is a one-possession game at the number 1 team in the country, the defending champion, with a quarterback.
There.
What?
A little misleading. I know they lost by 1 possession, but it was like a late arch touchdown.
Yeah, but they still held Ohio State to 14 points, so the defense is good. So whether the offense is elite or not, their defense is fantastic. So it was a 14-7 loss at the number 1 team coming off the national championship with a new quarterback. So you give them a little bit of leeway. They got Florida, who's reeling next. Then they've got Oklahoma without John Mateer. Then they got Kentucky, Mississippi State, which they should win both of those. And then it gets a little tough at the end of the year. Vandy, Georgia, and Texas A&M to close it out. But at the point there, if they go into the SEC championship game with 2 losses, they should be able to get into the game with 2 losses. And at that point, anything can happen. And Texas's defense is elite. If Arch Manning starts to figure it out, he's looking slightly better every week. I know it's against bad competition and group of 5 teams. Yeah, San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston. But he's getting better. He's getting more comfortable. He's going up against a Florida team. I think that there's a chance that he's going to not live up to expectations, but get better. And with that defense, that's really all they need to do.
Why did you think we'd rip you for Texas?
Because they're like the 5th-ranked SEC team right now, and nobody likes Arch.
Well, I don't know if people don't like Arch. It's just that week 1 performance was so stunning in a bad way. And then he talked about how it's more mental than physical. These next 2 weeks, I know they're off this week, so the 2 weeks after that, you can't lose to Florida, and then you got to test up against Oklahoma, and if Mateer's not playing, you better beat them. So these next 2 weeks, when you actually play some competition, I would like to see what Arch looks like. But I don't think it's crazy to say that Texas could go win the SEC. 2 years ago, they won the Big 12, and last year they were in the SEC championship game. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. It is a Wednesday. We'll do a Take 5 Wednesday next. I'll give you my top 5 teams in college football and the NFL. Dan Lanning, by the way, going to join us coming up today at 5:20 p.m. Eastern, 2:20 p.m. Pacific. Update time first. Here's the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with their easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. The Eagles will be without linebacker Nolan Smith until after their bye week after he aggravated a tricep injury and was placed on injured reserve. Jaden Daniels working his way back from a sprained knee. He was a limited practice participant today. However, Terry McLaurin out with a quad injury. Brock Purdy also limited, trying to come back from an injured toe. Cam Ward also limited due to a calf injury. Packers right tackle Zach Tom not expected to play Sunday night against the Cowboys after re-injuring his oblique. while the Mariners have won 5 in a row. To pull away in the AL West, the East and Central still very much up for grabs. The Guardians took the series opener last night from the Tigers to move into a first-place tie. Tanner Bybee and Jack Flaherty will take the mound for Game 2. Cleveland has won 11 of 12. The Blue Jays lead in the AL East is down to 1. They'll take on the Red Sox, while the Yankees will meet the White Sox in the Bronx after clinching a berth last night. Right now, Brewers and Padres scoreless in the top of the second. San Diego just a game and a half back in the NL West, and the Braves' 10-game winning streak ends with a 4-3 loss to Washington. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One 1 minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
This Thursday night football preview on a Wednesday is sponsored by Square. More than 4 million neighborhood businesses run on Square. To learn more, go to square.com or just stop by your favorite local business. See you in the neighborhood, Square. Tomorrow night, the Seahawks take on the Cardinals in Glendale. Both teams come into the game at 2-1. Sam Darnold has thrown for 663 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 picks, while Kyler Murray has thrown for 542 yards with 4 touchdowns and 1 pick. By the way, since I just talked about Arizona, and this is how my brain works, where it's always obsessed with food, because I used to be a fat slob, but I'm still. You could trim some of the fat away from me, but you can't take the fat kid out of a fat guy. You know, that's just the bottom line. Santa, what was the name of the pizza place that we went to in Arizona? Because Santa was hyping up a pizza place to me in Arizona, and I go, I'm a New Yorker, right? I've been to all the good pizza places in New York, all the good pizza places in New Jersey. Obviously, I've been to New Haven, where I think they have the best pizza. But Santa was hyping up this pizza place in Arizona. Everyone's telling me about this pizza place. And I ended up going to that pizza place, and it was a really damn good pizza. What was the name of that place?
Pizzeria Bianca.
Yeah, it was very good. We ordered, it was me, you, and one of your friends. And we ordered, they had 3 personal pies that we all split at the table.
There was
very good.
There was a fig one also that was delicious.
Yeah, we've been into fig on pizza here.
Yeah.
That bacon fig jam pie from your favorite place, La Industry.
A little bit of salty, a little bit of sweet. Love it.
See, when Santa's really into something.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I said La Industry, and he didn't do that stupid
He
thing.
did
It's
not.
just be the Industry pizza.
Le means the. You're saying the industry pizza.
All right, it is a Take 5 Wednesday on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's get to it right now.
As the dust settles from last week's games, it's time to look at which teams are rising and which are falling.
And there's an interception.
Zach ranks his top 5 NFL and college football teams on this week's edition of Take 5, only on the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, let's get to it. Georgia was off the week before that. They did a good job coming on back up against Tennessee in one of the more early, memorable college football games of the season. Georgia is in at 5, and right now they would be my pick to win the SEC, but that doesn't mean currently they are the best team in the SEC. In at number 4, they haven't played anybody since, but they're still sitting there undefeated. They smothered Alabama to start the year 31-17. Then you played 2 cupcakes, East Texas A&M 77-3, Kent State 66-10. Don't get caught looking ahead this week if you're Florida State, because you have a Friday night game up against Virginia, and then the next week you have a mega game up against Miami. So don't have a letdown this week where you're looking ahead to Miami, but the Seminoles of Florida State are in at 4. In at number 3, it's the Brian Kelly LSU Tiger family. They had that opening game win of the season up against Clemson. Their defense is really damn good. Their offense needs to get better, but right now with what they've done on a football field, I will put them in on the number 3 spot. Number 2, it is all about the U with the Miami Hurricanes. Miami, they had a very good start to their season where obviously they did defeat Stu's Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and since then, you beat Bethune-Cookman, you beat South Florida, and last week, or 2 weeks ago, you ended up picking off DJ Lagway 5 times. We will end up seeing what did transpire on their bye week right now, and then they do end up getting Florida State. Or excuse me, DJ Lagway, did they pick off DJ Lagway? No, that was LSU. It was, Miami, they held him to 61 passing yards. And I was confused that. So, anyway, long story short, as I just completely messed up that part of the segment, Miami's in at 2. And then at number 1, you may forget about Ohio State because The Ohio State University hasn't played anybody since their victory up against Texas, but that defensive performance still is very present in Micah Parsons. And that defense is awesome. Julian Sain's going to get better and better and better. And Jeremiah Smith is one of the best wide receivers in the country, even though his numbers aren't as elite as what you would think so far because week 1 wasn't all that spectacular. But he's going to be an absolute stud, just like how he was last year. And Ohio State, they could be an upset watch this week as they have to go to Washington. I'm curious how we're going to be talking about the Buckeyes after that game up against Washington, but what they did in week 1 still earns them the number 1 spot, and they are the reigning national champs. So Georgia in at 5, Florida State in at 4, LSU in at 3, Miami in at 2, and the Ohio State University in at number 1. Samter speak now, forever hold your peace.
I mean, we got Dan Lanning coming up in about 40 minutes, and you don't have them in your top 5?
So I think Oregon at the end of the year will be a top 5 team. I like their offensive coordinator, Stein. Lanning is one of the best coaches in the country. Dante Moore has been incredible, and the youngster, the wide receiver, the freshman Moore, has also been great. But they haven't played anybody yet. And I think you have to give me a win this year where you're playing good competition to get into the top 5. All those other schools that I just mentioned have that. Oregon does not. So if Oregon, I'll say this. If Oregon beats Penn State this week, not only will it be in the top 5, they're going to be probably closer to 1 than actually 5. But they have to play someone, and now they have that test this weekend.
Well, you mentioned them, their opponent, number 2 in the country, Penn State.
Same thing as Oregon. They haven't played anybody. They've played Cupcake U, Cupcake U, Cupcake U. You go beat Oregon this week? Once again, Penn State will be deserving of a spot in the top 5, but right now they haven't played anybody, so that's why they're not in there.
I know John Mateera's hurt, but what about Oklahoma?
So that was one that I struggled with because now Mateera's hurt. They beat Auburn. Auburn is a fine team, not a great team. They beat Michigan. I know we just had one of their running backs on, Justice Haynes. Michigan, I still think, is a year away, even though their schedule's not that tough, and maybe they do make a college football playoff push. So they beat 2 teams that are solid. They beat 2 teams that are good. I don't think they have an elite win like some of the other schools do have. Like Florida State against Alabama felt like an elite win. At the time when LSU beat Clemson, it felt like an elite win. Miami beat Notre Dame, felt like an elite win. Ohio State beat Texas, felt like an elite win. Georgia defeated Tennessee. That felt like an elite win. Oklahoma has beat good teams. I wouldn't call any of those elite wins, but they were important for them, obviously, with Brent Venables on the hot seat.
How about Indiana?
Now, they played 3 cupcakes. They smothered 2 of them. Old Dominion was the one they didn't smother. And then they crushed Illinois. I think Illinois was more overrated. Like, I think Indiana's a top 10 team in the country. If this was take 10, I would put them in. Take 5, I don't think they're elite right now. So I'll keep Indiana on the outside looking in.
All right, last one, Texas A&M.
So they beat Notre Dame, and that's an elite win. And that was a game that was back and forth. It was by a 1-point margin. They have Auburn this weekend. If you beat Auburn, they'll start to rise up the rankings. But later on in the season, they play a program like LSU, and they play Texas at the end of the year. I think they need just another victory for me to say, okay, you're not just a top 10 team, you're then a top 5 team. Once again, if it was take 10, I put them in. Take 5, I think they're just on the outside looking in. But I do like the way that Marcel Reed is playing, and I'm a fan of Mike Elko. All righty, let's get to the NFL. In at number 5, the undefeated Indianapolis Colts. They smothered the Tennessee Titans this past weekend. In at number 4, welcome back to the top 5 for the Detroit Lions. What they did up against the Ravens could be the best victory of the season. That defense looked absolutely awesome. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator did a great job. Dan Campbell, unbelievable. Jared Goff, clutch when needed to be. And most importantly, Aiden Hutchinson looks back, and that interior on the offensive line looks to be solidified. So Lions in F4. Number 3, the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert is now clutch, or he's been clutch to start the season. That was a good come-from-behind victory up against the Denver Broncos. Heck of a play by Herbert to get Keenan Allen. They ended up winning the game as well. In at number 2, the Buffalo Bills make you want to shout. The Buffalo Bills are my second-ranked team. And then in at number 1, wait, In at number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles, who just had this unbelievable come-from-behind victory at what they were able to do up against the Rams as they came back from being down 27-6 in the game, and they absolutely or 26-7 in the game, and they just stunned the LA Rams. So Eagles in at 1. So Colts in at 5, Lions in at 4, Chargers in at 3, Bills in at 2, and the Eagles in at 1. Samter, speak now, forever hold your peace.
The undefeated Bucks in the South.
Yeah, I just think it's how sloppy those games have been. They could have easily lost that game to Atlanta. They just survived up against the Texans. They almost blew it up against the Jets. I just need to see a cleaner product. They do play the Eagles this week, so that's a test, a chance to make a statement. I just think the product has been that clean, even though they're undefeated.
How about the Packers?
Yeah, losing to the Browns. I know they beat the Lions. Some people say, how do you have the Lions in the top 5 but not the Packers? Losing to the Browns, that's a pathetic performance, and it lowers the expectations just for a week. I got to dump them out of the top 5 because you lost to the Browns.
2 straight wins for the Steelers?
No. They beat the Jets, then they lost to the Seahawks.
That's right.
And then, they beat the Pats. If Ramondre Stevenson could just put some stickum on his hands, they would have lost that game. That offense does not look good, and I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to make it through a season.
The undefeated 49ers.
I got to see him with Brock Purdy. Now, Bosa's done for the year, so they have a lot of injuries. They are 3-0. They could win the NFC West. That's going to be really what I think a 2-team race between the Niners and the Rams. But with that being said, you already have the injuries really starting to pile on up. So that's a Take 5 Wednesday on the Zach Gelb Show. Georgia in at 5, Florida State in at 4, LSU in at 3, Miami in at 2, Ohio State in at 1, Colts 5, Lions 4, Chargers 3, Bills 2, and the Eagles in that number 1 spot. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, Billy Napier is going down with a ship that's sinking, and he's not willing to adjust. We'll get into that. Dan Lanning coming up also in 25 minutes from now.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We've seen 3 coaches already get fired, and it's not already October yet. And when you take a look at them, Virginia Tech lost their head football coach in Brent Pry. Deshaun Foster has already been dismissed by UCLA. And then yesterday, Mike Gundy, after almost 4 decades of experience at Oklahoma State, from being a player, an assistant coach, and then the head coach since 2005, he was sent packing, and I thought that was long overdue with how things have gone the last 2 seasons for Mike Gundy. I thought it was time to say goodbye to him. Last year was a disaster. He became a distraction off the field with the whole Ollie Gordon situation. And then this year, all right, you get smacked by Oregon. You give Dan Lanning, who's going to join us, by the way, in 20 minutes, some bulletin board material when, let's be real, I don't think Oregon needed it, but still, that's what great coaches do. They use anything as motivation. And then you lose to Tulsa this past weekend at your home stadium. Like, no one's going to look back at the Mike Gundy era and say, hey, you know, disaster at Oklahoma State, screw him, bleep that guy. The dude was a phenomenal football coach. And he produced one of the greatest sound bites of all time. I'm a man, I'm 40. But it was time for you to leave. It was time for a school that you love to find maybe not the next Mike Gundy, but the next guy that's going to lead that program into the future. Because when you are an established coach, right, it's not Deshaun Foster, it's not Brent Pry. When you are a established head coach, right, that is rooted in so many years of doing this, a lot of these coaches don't want to adapt to this new system. Or they struggle or they challenge to adapt in a new world of NIL and the transfer portal. And for Gundy, it was more so adapting to the world of NIL, right? Like it is, you look at Dabo, the transfer portal has killed him. And he said, our program is built based off the name, image, and likeness of God. So it's like you're looking at a guy like Dabo Swinney. Why have the last 4 years not worked out? Because he's being a curmudgeon. He's being stuck in his old ways, and he's not adapting. Why did Nick Saban leave? It's not because Nick Saban no longer loved coaching, but Nick Saban is established, right? He's the greatest college football coach of all time, and he didn't want to deal with developing a kid, and then your kid, after a year, because maybe he doesn't get enough playing time or he wants more money elsewhere, is going to elect to go somewhere else. So we've seen it now where not only in college football, but also college basketball, where a lot of coaches who are established or older elect to say goodbye. Like, you can't tell me Jay Wright shouldn't be coaching right now at Villanova still. Should be. But Jay Wright said, I won 2 national championships. I've been to a ton of Final Fours. I don't want to deal with this crap anymore. And in a weird way now, coaching in the pros is easier than coaching in college. Because for how many years do people say about college, oh, you get to run the entire thing? Right? Yeah, sure, you have to recruit, but you are the judge, you're the jury, and you're the executioner in college. And then the NFL, you got to go in a locker room, and you got players making more money than you. NBA, you got players making more money than you. Like bench guys making more money than you. So it's a little bit more difficult. But now the lifestyle, and I know, right, we're all talking about millionaires anyway, so play me the small violin. But the lifestyle, it is easier to be a pro coach than it is to be a college coach. So we've had 3 jobs that have already moved on right now, and 3 jobs that are open in Virginia Tech and now Oklahoma State and also UCLA. And you look at a guy like Billy Napier, who Billy Napier did a good job at Louisiana, right, with the Raising Cajuns, and he got a big boy job in Florida. And Billy Napier right now, his biggest problem is himself. Now, here's what I know about Billy Napier. Nice guy. You never like when people call the football, he's a nice guy. When people started off with that, I'm not saying my football coach needs to be a jerk, but you know how that's meant. When people say, oh, the first thing you say about Billy Napier, he's a nice guy. That's not good. You know, Channing Crowder, who we love, when he was talking about his school, he goes, oh yeah, Billy Napier's a nice guy. You never want to be just a nice guy. Now, you could be a nice guy, but before someone says a nice guy, I got to hear, right, he's a great coach, or he's a pit bull on the recruiting trail, or he's an offensive wizard. But with Billy Napier, you start off, he's a nice guy. That's not good. It's just not good, folks. Like if they said about Zach Gelb, right, as a talk show host, oh, Zach's a nice guy. He's a sweet kid. No. I want people to say about me first, he has a great work ethic. He's a great interviewer. You know, he gives you his opinion unfiltered. Then you want to say, oh, Zach Gelb's a nice guy? Yeah, I'll take it. But I don't want you to say nice guy first. Because in life, whenever somebody already automatically refers to someone, the first thing out of their mouth is nice guy, it's like, oh, yeah, he's a nice guy. Right? Like, yeah, he's fine, he's good. But you know the nice guy when that's the first thing is, oh, he's great. Or he's elite at what he does. It's like, I actually feel bad for him. Like, he's a good dude, like, means well, but he's just not good at his job. That's how I always interpreted that. Nice guy, and then you know what I also think is condescending too? This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But it's just such a bizarre thing with the rant that I just went on a nice guy. Stu, if I'm talking to you, I would say Stu, maybe your friends, they call you by your last name, Kovacs. I don't think you're a last name guy, right?
Not really, no.
Like my friends, they'll call me Gelb. Some of my friends will call me Big G or G, or they'll like some other people just say Zach, right? Or Z, right? Everyone has like a nickname. Michael Samter, I think that most people say Samter, not Mike. Some people say Mike. Some people say Moist Mike. Some people say Big Mike. But no one, like just one thing. When someone goes, when talking to you, they're like Mike Samter or Stu Kovacs. I feel like that's a little condescending. I don't know why. Is that just me? I feel like it's condescending and that person really doesn't like you. Like I had one friend in particular. He pointed this out to me. He goes, so many people address me by my first and last name, and I feel like they have no respect for me when they do that. Do you understand that at all, Stu? Or is that just something stupid that I come up with?
No, I get that. I feel like there is someone who has said that to me, so I can kind of see what you're getting at with that, yeah.
Now,
I don't love it.
There's someone here at our office that works with us that I know likes me. And I don't think he's doing it to be condescending. But every time he sees me, he says, Zach Gelb. And there's just one person here at that office that does it. And I don't think he had, because this guy's a good dude, we're friendly. And we like to throw shots at one another. But I don't know if he realizes, like, that's something that people know. Where if I see Stu and I'm like, Stu Kovacs every day, Stu Kovacs. Or if I see Samter, Mike Samter. Like, I would just call him Samter. Or I would see Stu and I would say Stu, or I'd call him Stu sometimes Stewart. Because when we went on the trip together, everyone was just calling Stu, all these people that were like helping Stu get out of the car, right? The driver that we had, the people that checked us in the hotel, they're like, hello, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stewart, how are you, Mr. Stewart? Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stewart. So that's why I sometimes call Stu Stewart. But there's one guy here, I don't know if he realizes that it comes off condescending, but every time I see him, Zach Gelb. You want to guess who that person is?
Is it Gallo?
It is not Anthony Gallo. It's a good guess. Samter, do you want to know who sometimes offends me by just calling me by my first and last name? Now I'm sounding like that Dan Bernstein guy. Bernstein.
We going Sean Marash?
It's not Marash. I don't think Marash could do anything that would actually offend me.
How about Thomas Lugauer?
It is not Thomas Lugauer. It's someone that's on the network side.
On the network side that you see every day?
I don't know if I see him every day, but I see him enough. I see him enough because I am a hardworking guy and I get in here early.
You get in here early. Let's go with, EJ?
Not EJ. I don't know.
Not that early.
I just see EJ whenever we go on the road. I get in early. I don't get in at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. whenever EJ gets on out of
Andrew Bogish.
Yes.
Andrew freaking Bogish.
Yes, he definitely does that.
And you know what he does?
He does that to me too, though.
Okay, so maybe that's just a Bogish thing.
That's a Bogish thing.
And his voice, you know what's condescending? When the voice goes to a different octave. Like, he'll be like, Zach Gelb, Stu Kovacs. So I don't know if he's just because he's an announcer, he announces everyone's name when he comes in, so I'll give Bogish a pass. Or should I say Andrew Bogish? But that's always something that has happened. But anyway, getting back to the nice guy that is Billy Napier. When the ship is sinking, you got to do something to prevent it from sinking. Now, Billy Napier is thought of to be a brilliant offensive mind. He is thought of to be a great recruiter. Billy Napier is thought to be of also a nice guy. Well, when you look at those three things, Billy Napier is a good recruiter. Florida has talent. Billy Napier is a nice guy. But Billy Napier's offense has been trash. Billy Napier, right, Anthony Richardson, I know he had trouble staying on the field, but he was never consistent under Billy Napier. And somehow he's still a 4th overall pick, which I don't get to this day. But you look at DJ Lagway. Why was Billy Napier brought back this year? Billy Napier was brought back because they feared if they got rid of Billy Napier, DJ Lagway would hit the transfer portal and he would be gone sayonara. Well, DJ Lagway in his last 2 games, 5 interceptions in 1 game, and then the encore performance, right? Encore, was 61 passing yards. 61. So Kevin Nagandi joined us yesterday. And Kevin Nagandi, who does a great job, well-researched, hosts ESPN's College Football on ABC. Kevin Nagandi blamed Napier for the offensive struggles for a particular reason, and here's why.
I'm not making an excuse for Lagway. I just think that you're a sophomore. Billy Napier should not have come into the year to call plays. And they were crushing him last year. You got to just be the head coach. Don't call plays. Billy didn't want to give it up. They finished the season strong, and he had an opportunity in the offseason to say, you know what, I'm going to remove myself. Let somebody else come in and call plays, because as a head coach, you've got to be fully aware of everything else. And some of the things that we continue to see with Napier, they have not been fixed over the years.
I think Kevin's 100% right. Billy Napier is drowning. He is in over his head. And you need to spark something to change this team. And I think it's too late to save your job, but you at least got to try. Because last year I thought it was too late to save your job. And you got a life raft. Now with Billy Napier, you have to do something to turn this around. And your offense has been horrific. Your quarterback 2 weeks ago threw 5 interceptions in one game. Your quarterback last week threw for 61 passing yards. You need to change. You need to say, hey, I'm no longer calling plays, even if you don't want to do it. You need to do what's in the best interest of the football team. Because your way of doing it right now is trash. You need to turn it around. And you need to say somebody else is calling plays just to see if it's going to work. I think he's cooked, but he's burnt right now because he is failing to at least change, failing to try something new. And it's going to impact him, and it's going to impact everybody else in that locker room because he is inept right now. Here is Billy Napier earlier today. Hey, you're hitting a bye week. Are there going to be any changes like giving up play calling duties?
I think there's a renewed emphasis on accountability. Obviously, we have to play better. Every position group is contributing to our issues. So I know obviously a lot made of DJ in his situation, but I do think when we look at it from a big picture standpoint, we've got to play better around him.
And you're still calling plays, correct, moving forward?
Correct.
Oh, I'd fire him. I'd fire him right now. That's a dead man walking. And Florida made the biggest mistake you could make. People were out on him, and he put lipstick on the pig at the end of the season. But once you're out on the coach and then fans act like they're back in on the coach, you know that they're quickly out on the coach again. Look at Neil Brown. 2 years ago, oh yeah, played well, coached well. Oh, we're all back in on Neil Brown. And then last year, oh, it's ugly again. We're jumping up the bandwagon. Now Rich Rod's coaching West Virginia. Now, I did see from Urban Meyer, this is via On3 Sports, Urban Meyer believes the buyout costs will save Billy Napier's job at Florida. I don't see them making the change right now with $21 million. Where are you getting that money from? Because the money's already distributed. The money's accounted for. That's what Urban Meyer said. Now, Urban Meyer doesn't have a warm and fuzzy relationship with Florida right now. So I take everything Urban Meyer says with a grain of salt. But last year, the reason why he kept his job was because of DJ Lagway. Well, DJ Lagway's not playing right now. So if you lose DJ Lagway, is it really that big of a loss? I think you got to get, I don't care. If you want to be in the SEC, if you want to be Florida, you got to get rid of Billy Napier. Because this dude just ain't cutting it. Now here's Kevin Nagandi on DJ Lagway and his struggles and what Kevin is seeing with the struggling Florida quarterback.
The quarterback's just gun shy, man. And I'm not speaking for him, but it feels like he is seeing ghosts. And I feel bad for him because he's a young man that understands success, and we all know his talent. I think Lagway can be one of those guys that can be saved. It's just you've got to do it the right way. You've got to protect him. You got to give him the ability that he can't feel like I've got to carry this team on every single pass.
It's over. I'm not saying it's over for DJ Lagway, but for Billy Napier, it's over. And his stubbornness and him not being able to at least try giving up play calling duties makes zero sense to me. And it only gets tougher for Florida. Yeah, you lost to LSU. You lost to Miami. That's a 3rd and 4th team in the country right now. You lost to South Florida. You beat LIU, whoop-de-damn Duke. Congratulations. After that, you play Texas. Then the next week, A&M. Now an undefeated Mississippi State team. Then you play Georgia. Then you play Kentucky, all right. Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State to end the season. Last year, you saved the ship. Not because you were great on the field, even though they did play better. They had that big win up against Ole Miss, but he was already guaranteed his job back. The reason why you're back is because of DJ Lagway. Now your quarterback, that the only reason why you're back is because of him. He's not playing well, and you're not willing to help that youngster out. You're not willing to say, okay, what I'm doing right now, even though I believe in myself, it's not working. So hand the play calling sheet over to somebody else. You got to at least try it. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and thinking that something is actually going to change. Nothing's changing with Billy Napier right now. Nothing. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth, the head football coach at Oregon, Dan Lanning, will join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, we continue. This is the Zach Gelb Show, number 6 versus number 3, coming your way Saturday night in Happy Valley. That, of course, is the Oregon Ducks taking on the Penn State Nittany Lions. And now joining us is the head coach at Oregon, and that, of course, is Dan Lanning. Coach, always great to have you on. How you been?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Zach.
Well, let me start you off with your quarterback. He's been unbelievable this year, Dante Moore. I know it's been a 2-year process. When he transferred over from UCLA and all the learning that he had, how have you kind of seen him change the last 2 years under your watch?
Yeah, just grow. I mean, he's continued to grow. He's always been a mature guy. The way he connects with teammates, the relationships he creates. But he's gotten better. You know, he's gotten better every single day that he's been here. And we've always felt like he's had a lot of arm talent and ability. I think that's showing up for everybody else in the nation to see this year.
You know, it's never easy when you're playing and you're getting the reps and then you got to sit down for a bit. Like if I was hosting a show and then they told me for a year, hey, we want you to go produce or we want you to go sit in the newsroom and cut tape. I don't know if I would be able to handle that. Why was he the right kid where he could learn behind Dylan and be able to take it when kind of the toothpaste was already out of the tube and he had some experience playing?
Yeah, I think that's one of the levels of maturity that Dante really showed. You know, coming out that year, I think he recognized, you look around college football, it's the same year. Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, like all those guys were playing in their 5th and 6th years in football and having opportunities to go play at the next level. And I think you look around college football, it wasn't about how early you play. It was about how well you play. And for him, he wanted to go somewhere that he could play well. He'll be the first to tell you the lessons that he learned from guys like Dylan. How beneficial that year of watching a guy prep every single week, what it needed to look like for him to be his best. And I think it's paying dividends now.
So you've been around Heisman Trophy finalist quarterbacks the last 2 seasons in Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel. Do you feel like you have another guy that could not only get to New York City, but this time maybe hoist up that trophy?
We have a great quarterback, and we don't live in hypotheticals, but if he continues to do what he's supposed to do, the rest will take care of itself, and we're really excited about the guy we have.
We know that right now he's playing at a high level. Like, people are starting to say he could be the best quarterback in the country. When everything's clicking for Dante Moore, what's the next step to his game, Coach Dan Lanning?
Keep clicking. Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. And you know, there's a lot of noise. That's the way it goes when you're doing things really well. I'm excited to see, you know, him handling adversity. I think he's done an unbelievable job of that in small moments this year, in practice, in games. But that'll continue to show up. But if he just keeps focusing on what he can control, the rest will take care of itself.
Dan Lanning is here with us. You know, going into last year, everyone was wondering, you know, what is Oregon going to look like in the Big Ten? And you guys were undefeated in the regular season. You won the Big Ten championship. You had that long layoff. And unfortunately, in the playoffs, you know, you went up against Ohio State team and it just wasn't your night. For the guys that are back and now you're underway with another season of Oregon football, what do you think they could learn from last year's run and what do they really take away from it?
Well, I think they have learned a ton. One, the process works. We had a lot of success last year when there wasn't a lot of noise about us last year. You know, it's going to be the first year in the Big Ten. What will it look like? I think now those pregame jitters are by, right? We've that's come and gone. Like, we know what it'll look like. We know there's high expectations. And ultimately they learn from, you know, growth moments and wins and growth moments from that loss. But they're really motivated. They're working extremely hard. We've developed some great leadership in a short amount of time. We're getting really good, valuable experience for some young players. And overall, I think that's showing up on the field for us.
You have the highest of expectations. You know what the goals are. But nationally, heading into this season, I heard a lot of chatter through the summer where pundits were saying, hey, Oregon's a good team, but we don't know how great they could be. Did you guys at all feel a little bit disrespected in the offseason leading up to the season starting?
Yeah, we don't focus on outside noise, right? I mean, I don't think you avoid it. You can't avoid it. It exists. But ultimately, it doesn't motivate us to play harder because of what somebody else thinks, right? And it doesn't motivate us not to play because of what somebody else thinks. We play hard because we care about wearing an O and what that means to us.
Dan Lanning here with us. I know you don't shy away from any opportunity, any challenge. That's just kind of the culture you guys have in your program. The atmosphere on Saturday night's going to be something. Happy Valley. You know, I went to school at Temple, so I've heard all the Penn State fans talk about how great their crowd is, all that, especially with the whiteout and how prestigious that is to them. How do you kind of prepare for an environment like that?
Yeah, focus on, again, the things you can control. And it's a whiteout because we're playing in it, right? It's because Oregon's there. So we're helping create an awesome environment for us to go play in. I'm excited to see our players go attack that, but we're not going to control the noise. Now, you can control it with the way that you play, and that's what we have to focus on is each play, one play at a time.
You're familiar going up against Drew Aller. That was a good Big Ten championship game last year. People are looking for him to take that next step. When you look at him on tape this year and you also go back to last year, just what are you seeing out of the Penn State quarterback?
Yeah, talented player, big arm. He multiple times in our game last year, he was able to go from 1 to 2 to 3 and get backside and hit a guy when he's open. He does a great job of moving in the pocket and taking advantage of things with his legs when everybody's covered downfield. So he's a good quarterback. It's going to be a fun challenge for us.
Dan Lanning here with us for a few more minutes. Big game coming up Saturday night. You have Penn State going up against Oregon and Happy Valley, a matchup of 6 versus 3. Your youngster at wide receiver, DeCorian Moore, just what has it stood out to you so far with your young wide receiver?
Yeah, stepping up to big moments. He came here, he was a perfectionist. He wanted to be right every play. I think he's learned to really handle adversity better and better throughout the year and know that not every single play is going to be a win for him, right? It's about learning from that play and going to the next play, and he's done an outstanding job with that. His ability to attack, the enthusiasm he comes on the field with, the ability to learn, the multitude of things we're asking him to do has been really impressive.
How about his blocking? I've seen that video when you guys are scoring a touchdown. He's blocking the guy into the end zone. As a coach, for a youngster to do that at the wide receiver position, that has to be like your favorite play of his so far, correct?
Well, I love it. And, DeCorian, told me later on that he realized that he can make a play without catching the ball, right? That's the kind of play that can motivate your team, can inspire others. When you block like that, it shows how much you care for the people around you.
I don't know how you are with comparisons, but I was reading on my research on him leading up to this from ESPN. I think it was Tom Luganbill who said DeCorian Moore kind of reminds him of Jamar Chase. Can he be that type of player moving forward? Jamar Chase, one of the best wide receivers, obviously, in the NFL.
Yeah, he could be DeCorian Moore, right? When it's all said and done, hopefully people compare themselves to DeCorian Moore.
I got to ask you about Evan Stewart. I'd be remiss because I think we sometimes forget about guys that get hurt, and there's a mental challenge that you have to overcome fighting back and recovering from that. Just how is Evan Stewart doing in the rehab process from the patellar tendon that he suffered in June?
Yeah, he's doing great, and it'll be interesting to see when we're able to get him back potentially and what he looks like. But again, the main focus for that is Evan and today, right? And then tomorrow and then the next piece. But he's coming in here with a great attitude every day. He's attacking his rehab, and hopefully he's one that we can see before the season's done.
Now, I was talking to Jake Butt last week as they were getting set for Michigan and Nebraska, and we ended up talking about your program in Oregon. And he said being around your program this offseason, you felt that you guys have a deeper team this year compared to last year. Why is that? Why do you think you guys are deeper this year?
Yeah, I just think some young guys have stepped up. We always talk about strength in numbers. This is truly a strength in numbers team. We've played, over 60 players in every single game this season so far. And I think that speaks to the quality of players that we have and the ability to play winning football. So when you have that, you want to be able to take advantage of it.
Last thing I'll ask you, yesterday, Mike Gundy, I know you guys played him earlier in the year up against Oklahoma State. He was dismissed as the head football coach there. When you factor in his time as a player, an assistant coach, and a head coach, he spent nearly 4 decades there. Just when you got that news, just how did you process it yesterday?
Oh, just tough, man. That guy has been an unbelievable coach for so long. He put Oklahoma State on the map. Anybody that says differently is wrong. I mean, he's done. I mean, he's won. He's won there a ton of games. And the game changes. There's high expectations for coaches everywhere across the country, but you always hurt for a guy that's put so much into a program. And then, recognize whenever a change like that happens, it doesn't just affect one person. That affects the entire football building, right? There's a lot of people in that building that's lives are going to change because of that decision. And that's part of football. It's what we all sign up for. But he's a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it, and has had an unbelievable career, and wouldn't be shocked to see him out there doing it again somewhere soon.
Well, Coach, I know you got to get back to preparing for Penn State. Really do appreciate the time today. Thanks so much, and good luck coming up on Saturday night.
You bet. Thank you so much.
There you go. Dan Lanning joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And while that interview was playing, I got a very interesting text. And we always appreciate Coach Lanning joining us. And that text had nothing to do with Dan Lanning or that interview. But if you may recall, last week, my father made some meatballs for me, right? It was the anniversary of my grandmother's death. My dad, since my grandma loved cooking, my dad, who also loves cooking, said, I'm going to make my son some meatballs, drop them off at work, and have some dinner. Now, Ack was like, where are my meatballs? My dad brought Ack meatballs. Now, it has come to my attention, and once again, my dad is texting me this. So he is a little bit crazy in his older age. So if it's wrong, it's wrong, and I don't want to accuse anyone of anything. But I'm seeing the smile on Stu's face right now.
Oh, yeah.
Did my father make you meatballs too?
He did.
Oh, I didn't know that. So, wait, so you knew that, Ack?
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. So he made you meatballs, and then he dropped Stu meatballs.
The next day. It was the day after.
I thought that was put Stu on another strata.
Yeah.
Right now. Like, I got
City Bound George, 30 minutes on the up.
Stu's got what? How many?
3?
A few,
4?
yeah.
So I don't know whether your father is diluting his standards or Stu is really come up in the ranks.
Well,
you didn't let me finish the sentence, Stu.
The other thing is, it's a little weird. Was Samter out? Why did Samter not get any meatballs?
Healthcare Medicare store in Jackson Heights. I'm Greg Rice with the
Are you offended, Samter, that my dad made Ack meatballs and Stu meatballs, but it's not no soup for you, no meatballs for you?
I mean, on a Jewish holiday like Rosh Hashanah, and I'm out celebrating the New Year.
It was last week.
Oh, it was last? That's even worse.
It was last week.
That's very upsetting. You know what? I think he's probably just mad at me for calling him out for being a disgusting human being and
disgusting human being.
Yeah. No turkey.
You thought Hickey had a bad eye.
No turkey on Thanksgiving. He goes with lasagna instead. You know what? He's just mad at me because he has a terrible take on Thanksgiving. He's not going to give me meatballs. It's awful. He doesn't deserve to even make meatballs. I don't want his meatballs.
Let's take a timeout.
I don't want his meatballs.
Let's take a timeout. So Ack just said I would like to try the lasagna, correct? Isn't that what you just said?
Yeah.
Smart man. The lasagna is excellent.
Not too bad.
So
I figured the meatballs are good. The lasagna's got to be pretty good. And he's known for his lasagna.
The meatballs were good. The lasagna is out of the world. What do you think of the meatballs, by the way?
Excellent. Just like 9 point whatever out of 10. Very good.
Gotcha.
I gave them the Goldilocks.
You just needed a non-liability.
So you want
or
the lasagna.
someone who's in position.
I'll take lasagna.
Do it defensively.
It doesn't have to be a whole tray.
Give you more offense than
a little bit.
The text is actually about you.
Even a 202 batting average can do that.
This is the text I get from my father.
Is Jose Caballero.
Was going to bring in noodle pudding and brisket for you guys today. That's what we had last night.
He has given you
but nothing for Kovacs,
for Anthony Volpe,
who I used to refer to as the Kovacs of board ops. But I never got a thank you from him for the meatballs. Hold on, let me finish, and then we'll get to you.
Maybe the Jose
no
Caballero
lasagna either when I make that in November because Stu Kovacs, I guess he's listening with the whole first and last name,
lit a fire under Anthony
didn't
Volpe's
send
ass. Or actually, maybe more importantly, let's not even
go
go
lasagna for you.
I thanked him, and then I followed up with amazing meatballs. I'll find it for you, and I will send it to you.
Oh, wait, you sent him an email?
That's how we were. That's how we were talking back and forth. I don't have his number.
Time out.
Maybe.
I'm actually going to defend Stu. Now, I do say my dad is a little bit crazy in his older years. And he's getting older, and he may be forgetting something.
And
Some people,
gives you versatility.
Around the office may be calling him Bobby Biden these days. Some.
Not me.
But Stu, you actually asked me last week for my dad's email address, right?
Brian Cashman did a great job.
I think I mentioned that I was going to email him. Yes.
Okay.
I have the string up right here.
Next time, pick up the phone
a great job at the trade deadline, but also
so I'll have to check the email
like a Houdini
address.
act. He
Because
didn't
we'll see
address
if it
third
is
base in the
right. Because I think most people know my dad is
looks bad
Bob
in the
Gelb.
Devin Williams
I
trade,
don't
which
know if
led
his
to you
Odyssey
needing to
email,
add
though,
big-time bullpen arms at the
is
deadline.
Bob Gelb.
Because
I
agree.
Yeah,
He
yeah, but
fixed
Odyssey,
his
FAM, whatever.
own
It is same
fallacies.
crap.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
But I'm curious. Let me just see real quickly.
deadline.
It is. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh yeah, it is an FAN
But
account.
specifically,
The Astros are better than me. So did you
off-season
email?
If it was so good, you
This
wouldn't
is a
need
back and
trade
forth.
deadline.
I'm very
BGL
happy to see him
WFN.
as a real bench, like an old Yankee team.
About to say, like the chat is going to be just inundating his inbox.
BGL
People will be
WFN.
emailing him for meatballs.
BGel at WFN.com.
I'm sorry. It is Odyssey. It is Odyssey. It is Odyssey. We have a back and forth though. So someone is.
Oh, he responded to you?
Yes.
You need
This even makes him even older.
Again,
Oh my God.
They could have had an email exchange where no thank you was involved.
Once again,
Bob Gelb is my dud of the
He just
week.
didn't have a plan in the offseason at third base.
I don't know.
He played jazz a little bit.
Dud! You be
That's all
quiet.
I'm saying. It's just that some
Was
of those
gonna
trades, let's calm
bring
down.
in noodle
He left
pudding and
holes
brisket
got
for
very
you guys, but
fortunate that he
nothing for
found, sellers
Kovacs,
to the
who I
end.
used
But
to refer to as the
he did this with left
Kovacs
field
of
a couple
board
of
ops.
times.
No, I
But no
understand, but I
thank you
think it's
for
unfair
meatballs.
to look at
No
trade deadlines and
lasagna
say, well,
either
you're
when I
fixing
make
the
that in
mistakes
November.
you
And you
made.
have an exchange
That's
with my
every trade
father.
I do. Yes.
Like,
All right.
I don't
Well,
deny
of course,
that.
if you were perfect and every move
Short,
you
fat,
made
ugly.
in January and
Stupid.
February was
No way to go
amazing,
through life right
you
now.
wouldn't need to
That's a
add
bad choice.
reinforcement
Bad
in
choice.
July.
Well, yeah,
That's baseball.
sorry,
Most
my
teams need
uncle,
to
my
add
uncle Gary is
reinforcement.
short, fat, ugly, no way to live through life.
We talked about this last week.
That's what I think I just merged it. What the heck is he doing?
Yeah.
Here he is,
He's been
texting me
really
during
good.
my
Do you think that
radio
David
program,
Bednar, though, if Devin
my
Williams and Luke
award-winning
Weaver were
radio
ultimately-
program.
That's irrelevant.
And he can't even get the right information, and he's starting a fight where I was about to lambaste Stu, and his information is not only inaccurate, but there is proof. Proof? Oh my God! The proof is in the pudding.
Maybe you thought the show was lacking today. You needed a little pick me up. You know?
It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Okay, we are rated as a top
When he
20 radio
traded
show
for
by
Ryan
Barron Sports
Helsley,
Media,
I
but
was
most
excited.
importantly by
Like,
Pat Boyle.
all the
I'm
data
the
would
fifth,
tell me he'll be
best,
fine. Like, I
radio
have no
host
reason to
ever
believe
come
he's
here
going to be
at the Infinity
terrible.
Sports.
Yeah, he went from being a really good closer in
so
St.
you
Louis
take
to
the
getting
awards
clowned
anyway
by
they come.
Susan
And you're
Waldman.
doing such a great job with not one of the best producers who's ever been here.
Numbers,
We talking about you, Stu?
Me? Apparently, I'm not within like the top 20 producers of all time, according to Pat Boyle and people on
No,
it.
you're still
No, I
annoyed.
was really excited about
You're
the
still
trade.
hurt by that list.
Yeah,
No, I'm not, because it's so wrong
Sounds
that
like
it's
it.
not.
You can look
It's
at
like
the
saying,
match
"Hey, Pat
deadline and
Mahomes
say,
is
did
the
you really
13th
get
best
better in
quarterback."
any
It's so
way? Your center
wrong
field
that
situation
you can't take it
is the
seriously.
same.
The way he's
You're
playing
playing
this year,
Tyrone Taylor today.
Ouch.
Yesterday, you're playing
Ouch.
Brandon Nimmo.
No, I'm just
Like,
kidding. I'm kidding.
The reality is,
Hot
David
take.
Stearns
I'm
had an
just
awful
kidding.
trade.
Ladies and
Just
gentlemen,
kidding.
Zach
The
Gelb calls
same
Patrick
reality
Mahomes the
is
13th best
David
quarterback in
Bednar-
2025.
He's a bum.
Jose
You
Caballero
know,
may
Stu
well
wouldn't
be your
even take him on his
shortstop,
Raiders.
if not, he's a super
Joe
utility
Flacco
player.
over Patrick
Ryan
Mahomes.
Now
McMahon
that's
is
an
a
elite
replacement.
quarterback, let me tell you.
Sorry, across his
Update
lefties.
time. Here's a man that definitely says thank you. He is the great Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. They say thank you. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Several quarterbacks have been banged up lately, and two that missed time last week were back at practice today, albeit on a limited basis. The Commanders' Jaden Daniels trying to come back from a sprained knee, while the Niners' Brock Purdy is nursing a sore toe. Both limited today, as was Cam Ward. Washington wideout Terry McLaurin was out with a quad injury, and the Giants' Malik Neighbors is nursing a shoulder injury. Nolan Smith aggravated a surgically repaired tricep and went on injured reserve. He won't return until after the team's bye week in November. Baseball this afternoon, the Padres trying to pull closer in the NL West, but they trail the Brewers 1-0 in the bottom half of the fifth. San Diego opened the day a game and a half behind the Dodgers, who will finish up today's schedule against the Diamondbacks later this evening. Also today, the Braves' 10-game winning streak came to an end as they fell to the Nationals by a score of 4-3. James Wood hit his 30th home run of the season. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. We're the Backstreet Boys, and you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, and it's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Craig in D.C. says, will McDaniel, Dayball, or Callahan be able to save their job, Zach? You can submit a question by tweeting at INFSportsNet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. McDaniel, no. If McDaniel loses one of these next two games against the Jets or the Panthers, goodbye. He's gone. He should be gone. If I'm running a team, I get rid of him. When it comes to Brian Callahan, I think they're going to need to win at least 6 games. Bare minimum. And I know, right, most of it shouldn't be about a win total. It should just be about the development of your young quarterback and your number 1 overall pick in Cam Ward, who I think is going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. But you're 0-3 right now. You didn't get embarrassed in week 1. You lost to Denver 20-12. All right, you lose week 2 to 33-19 to the Rams. You got embarrassed by the Colts. You lost 41-20. If I'm Mike Borgonzi, it wasn't as if you hired him. This was a shotgun marriage, arranged kind of marriage, where you acquired him. Or the way you say it is, you married someone. You didn't know about the stepchild, but you said, okay, I'm going to take on the child because I love the girl. And then the stepchild becomes the biggest pain in the ass. And you're like, okay, I'm going to divorce the girl because I can't deal with the stepchild. That's what kind of happened with Mike Borgonzi is he just got there and they hired Callahan 2 years ago. So now Callahan's the coach. And we saw in year 1, him and Will Levis kind of going back and forth in the fire there. And now in year number 2, you would think with Mike Borgonzi and his connection with the Kansas City Chiefs and all those Super Bowls that he won and him being, a younger guy, you would think he would want to pick his head coach. Now, could you have, in theory, Callahan back for one more year and it's a make or break year next year? I guess you can, but I wouldn't want to try that if I'm him. Because look at the last guy, Rand Carthon. We thought he was going to be there for a while. You look at Mike Vrabel, he was established, and they even got rid of him. So you don't always get 3 years in the NFL. Like, in theory, Mike Borgonzi, year 1 is a rebuild. Year 2, get better. Year 3, you should be competing for a playoff spot. And then after 3 years, if it doesn't work out, then you get cut. But when it comes to the NFL, that's not how it always works. So if I'm Borgonzi at the end of the season, I got to ask myself this. Do I believe that Callahan one day can be a successful head coach? And do I think it could happen in the next 2 years? And if the answer is yes, you keep him. If the answer is no, snip, goodbye. And I think that at the end of the year, Callahan is out. Now, the last coach is Brian Daboll. I fear here with Daboll that even though I'm on board with what they're doing with Jackson Dart, and I thought Jackson Dart should have been coaching, should have been playing quarterback week 1. But what I fear here with Dart is now you have the majority of the season. So even though I agree with the decision, you have the majority of the season. So if Dart doesn't play well and the Giants are a 4-win team, how do you bring back Brian Daboll for another year? I think the Giants don't want to fire Joe Schoen. I think the Giants don't want to fire Brian Daboll. And they're giving them every chance to turn this thing around. But you being 9-7-1 and coach of the year in year 1 is now 4 years ago. You were 6-11. You were 3-14. And now you're 0-3. So I don't know how much the wins matter for Daboll this year, which is wild to say for a coach who's in his 4th season now. But it's about the young quarterback. And this is the last thing that could save Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll's job. It's the play of Jackson Dart. Because what was it when you had Daniel Jones there? We didn't get to pick our guy. right? It's like what Mike Borgonzi's saying right now with Callahan. Hey, it's year one. I didn't get to pick Callahan. I acquired him. They acquired Daniel Jones. They declined that fifth-year option, so they didn't want to bring him back. And then Daniel Jones led a team that was 9-7-1 with, like Isaiah Hodgins as the number one wide receiver. So they had to give him a contract. Jones, though, still wasn't their guy. And then it was 6-11, 3-14, and now you got your guy. You tried to a year ago trade up for Drake May. It didn't work out. But then you trade back up into the first round and you get Jackson Dart. So now you have your guy. If your guy doesn't look like he is going to be the guy, like Dart will be their starting quarterback next year, but it may be without Joe Shane and Brian Daboll. So I would say most likely to get fired out of those three, it's McDaniel 1. Then I would say 2 would be Callahan. And then I say 3 would be Brian Daboll. I think Mara is most inclined to keep his current coach. I then actually think Ross would be the second most inclined to keep his coach because I don't think he wants to fire McDaniel. And then I believe the ownership group in Tennessee is going to listen to the guy that they just brought in Mike Borgonzi. But intentions and what you set out to do are different than the reality. And I would say order them most likely to get fired, or least likely to get fired. It'd be 1, McDaniel, 2, Callahan, 3, Brian Daboll. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Good show today. Big thanks to Samter. Big thanks to Stu. Big thanks to Ack. And most importantly, big thanks to each and every one of you. Big thanks to Ryan Hickey for joining us in studio, Michigan running back Justice Haynes, and also the head football coach at Oregon in Dan Lanning. We'll be back tomorrow on a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show. We get ready to kick off what is already week 4 of the NFL season, right? Oh, my God. That's crazy. That even caught me by surprise. So we'll do that tomorrow right at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. All righty, have a great night. We'll talk manana, everybody. Big thanks to each and every one of you for tuning on, and we out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.